See Home Club for details.
Every season can be punishing for your roof. Mother Nature is a fierce opponent that doesn't take a break, which is why you need RoofWorks on your building maintenance team. Hi, this is Holly from RoofWorks. We specialize in keeping your commercial roof in great condition no matter what the issue may be. We offer roof inspections, roof repairs, and if needed, a full roof replacement. We help determine if there's a problem with your roof and advise you on the most cost-effective way to handle it. Contact us today at roofworks.com. That's roofwerks.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
Get in the hole!
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
If you are a big star, you have to have a nickname of some sort. I wrote a bunch down. Reggie Jackson was Mr. October. Wilt Chamberlain, the Big Dipper. Ted Williams was two. He was Teddy Ballgame. He was also the Splendid Splinter. You mentioned Ruth and the Bambino. Broadway Joe Namath, which absolutely fit Joe Namath. I can still see that picture in my mind, you know, with the theatrical lights in the background and Joe in the green and white uniform on Broadway. The Galloping Ghost, I like that. Deion Sanders Primetime. That is a great nickname.
And, of course, the king of all monsters, Godzilla. Everybody gets a nickname. You get a nickname, and you get a nickname, and you get a nickname. Good afternoon, everybody. Paul Ihander with you, in for Adam Gold today. Appreciate him letting me sit in the chair yet again. I didn't screw it up so much last time, so I'm back yet again along the statewide network that carries Adam's show, and we appreciate you joining us today. Producing today is not Victoria. Victoria also with the day off, so we have Graham Hill again, who is my partner in the Raleigh area on 99.9 The Fan on the Next Up show, which we host every morning. So everybody say hello to Graham, and Graham say hello to everybody.
Hello to the beautiful people of North Carolina, whether you're listening right here in the Triangle, to our friends in Asheville, Wilmington, Greenville, Charlotte. Well, actually, they got to wait another hour, unless they're watching on YouTube.
They could be watching on the YouTube
Happy
as well.
Friday, a little bit of a bittersweet day. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but I'm just going to start off like this. I am very happy to be one, producing you as you fill in on the Adam Gold Show.
Appreciate that.
And I'm very thankful to Adam Gold, who hopefully is listening and kicking his feet up right now on his back porch, for all the mentorship and all the guidance in the industry.
There you go. On this final Friday of July. Yes, you've made it, folks. You made it all the way through the month of July. Congratulations to you, those of you watching us, those of you listening to us. Maybe it's your lunch break. Maybe it's your just, couple of minutes that you're sparing in your day. Hopefully we can entertain you today. Hopefully we can make you laugh today. We will try not to make you cry. And if we do that, then we may have failed, or we may have induced tears ourselves. We're going to be a very guest-heavy program today. We will talk within the next 15 minutes with Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour. He got great news late Thursday night while a lot of you slept or maybe were getting off of work or whatnot, did not realize Carolina Hurricanes are still cooking in the offseason. They did not go into the free agency market, but they did manage to sign one of their own to a long-term contract extension. Jackson Blake, coming off a 17-goal rookie season, signed an 8-year deal. Once his rookie deal is up, he will have 8 more years with the Carolina Hurricanes at roughly $5.5 million, depending on how much of that cash got deferred. So congratulations to Jackson Blake. Certainly the Hurricanes organization who continues to figure out if they truly want to be contenders for the next several years, and with their moves, it surely seems like it. We'll be talking a lot about ACC Kickoff, which is where Adam was yesterday in the beautiful Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina, what we learned, what we figured out, and a lot of confirmations and whatnot, which came along with that. And we're also going to talk professional wrestling today as well. Not necessarily about the passing of the icon that is Hulk Hogan, of which more of you knew him as a good guy than a bad guy, but as a bad guy, he definitely made his mark as Hollywood Hulk Hogan with the NWO and the Wolfpack, and the heel turn was amazing, probably even stronger than John Cena's. We don't want to give it all away, though, but we will be talking pro wrestling as well. Plus all the main stuff that Adam and Victoria normally do. We place bets. We will take the 7th inning stretch. And, of course, we will have our wall of sound. But as we always do when this program kicks off, let's get it started.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's
So as we get things started off, we will kind of recap what we learned at the ACC football kickoff. Yes, camps for college football, for the most of them, will open up on Monday. They'll get all their practices in, and then roughly a month away from starting games that actually count, especially for those here in the Triangle. NC State will get things going against ECU. Duke will play Elon as they normally do to start off the season. And we get our long-awaited debut of North Carolina head coach Bill Belichick as he takes on TCU in the lone game on Labor Day.
The main event.
Right. So did we actually learn anything when it came to Bill Belichick? It felt more like we were just getting the review of what we have all known about him when it comes to the NFL, how he coached, how he spoke with the media, and how things went. And when he spoke to the media during this ACC football extravaganza, he did talk about developing players, which is very important to him.
Developing players is really what coaching is, and that's what we do. We take great pride in that, myself and our staff, and players who want to be developed. So a Carolina player is a player who wants to be a good football player, who wants to work hard, who wants to make a commitment towards improving on a regular basis, both training and team execution on the field. And so when we get those players, we see a lot of improvement, a lot of development. And that's, going back, what was it, Cleveland, where Mike and I put together an offensive line where, 4 of the 5 stars are free agents, or at New England where we had a number of, low draft choices, or high draft choices, I should say. I'd say Brady and Edelman, players like that, who turned out to be great players, as well as some of the other players, are higher picks that developed, like Gronkowski, and so forth.
That is, as they would say in professional wrestling, vintage Bill Belichick.
That's his bread and butter.
And how, Graham, he just casually drops in, it's how we develop Brady.
Yeah. Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Edelman. I don't know if you guys have heard of them before, but they were kind of the riffraff, the undrafted, the free agents that I took and made them the superstars. The question that I have, and I'm curious to see, along with every other UNC fan, and probably nationwide, can he do the same with a 3-star or very low 4-star and develop them into the next best college player?
That is a valuable point, because when it comes to the NFL, it's very rarely undrafted guys, but even those undrafted guys were stars at their schools. And you talk about guys that were drafted, you're only talking about 250 true invitees, 256 or whatever it is after all the compensatory picks, invited into the NFL every year as rookies. And then there's another smaller group that gets invited in as undrafted free agents, and they're there to take jobs. In college football, it's the same way. The younger kids and the transfers and whatnot are there to take jobs. And Bill Belichick's biggest goal, biggest concern, biggest thing that he needs to do with Carolina is develop a brand new team under what he still believes is an NFL model.
He'll get his 5 stars. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, those are already coming.
But Carolina football fans know from Mac Brown 2.0 that you can have all the 4 stars and 5 stars in the world. If it doesn't carry over onto the actual field of play, it's not going to matter. So I'm curious to see if Bill Belichick can find a couple of those guys that weren't recruited by any of the local teams, a low 3-star, and if he can develop them into a special player.
He's got 5 weeks to figure that one out. But he did talk about the difference between working with college players as opposed to pros.
On the college end, you're right, the players are a little bit younger and less skilled. Sometimes that's an advantage. There are fewer bad habits to break. But I would say also the players are, I'd say, much more receptive to the coaching. They haven't had as long with the way that they were doing it, through a college career, maybe even through some pro years, where they were, started to develop some habits that they were comfortable with and maybe were a little harder to change. I'd say, with our players, they've been very receptive to everything we've asked them to do. They've trained extremely hard. As I said, the personal achievements between their strength, their speed, their explosiveness, all the different body fat percentages, all different things that we measure is, in the high 90% range. I mean, there's only a couple guys that haven't, had the improvement, but really it's been pretty much the whole team. So that's been, as a coach, it's fun. It's fun to see players get better.
That is what coaches do. make your players better. He is not doing anything out of the playbook at this point. He is citing statistics. He is citing how he feels as a coach, which I think we all understand how he feels about coaching because he's now coaching at the collegiate level as opposed to the NFL level. Perhaps it's rejuvenated him. I don't know. But when it comes to coach, we're hearing a lot of the same things that I think people who have followed the New England Patriots and certainly head coach Bill Belichick's career throughout the professional ranks, that you are getting really nothing different here at the college level at all. You are getting vintage Bill Belichick. Now, head coach Dave Doeren, what did we learn about NC State? Well, we learned that maybe last year there was a little bit too much bravado, a little bit too much spotlight on this team because of the excitement of all the players that were coming in the transfer portal and the idea that this was going to have an explosive offense and this defense was going to pop off the page. And it didn't quite go the way they wanted it to. Preseason rankings don't mean a whole heck of a lot, especially when it comes to when you look back at the end of a season. So Dave Doeren, in talking with Adam Gold and many other media members, suggested that he would much rather be overlooked coming into this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think we underachieved last year. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, and that's on me. The quarterback injury, the middle linebacker injury had something to do with that, but at the same time, that's not an excuse. You know, we have to be able to, as a coaching staff, as a team, take advantage of our opportunities. And we lost 5 one-possession games in the last 60 seconds. And so we were close, but close doesn't get it done. And this is a team that's much more coachable, very humbled. The guys that are returners, guys we've added want to prove themselves. So we got a chip on our shoulder, which fits my DNA, and I like where we're sitting.
Loves himself some chip.
I find very interesting in that soundbite from head coach Dave Doeren, the part where he says this team is much more coachable and humble. Leads me to believe that last year, when they dipped really big into the transfer portal, you know, got all that NIL funding, that once college football playoffs, the expectations of that went away, and then the realistic expectations of not even making the ACC championship game went away. It went from a cohesive unit to a lot of guys thinking about themselves and having one foot out the door already.
They ran into some brick walls early in the season. There's no doubt about it. That Tennessee game was kind of
a reality check.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, reality check and then some for this team. So it's a little bit more humble. It's a little bit more coachable. It's a little bit more, let's be real about who we are and let's just be us. And maybe that'll serve the Wolfpack well. Manny Diaz at Duke had a successful first season. That is undeniable.
Talk about overachieving.
Yeah, and Duke continues to be that team when you look at media polls and things that are out there, and the one that involves the ACC media writers won't be out until next week. But when it comes to Manny Diaz, he says he's got complete buy-in, and that's why they were successful in year one.
So I do remember what Wes said to me is he said, you know, we go on campus and we feel like we're around the best of the best, and talking about the Duke student body. But he then said, when I come in our locker room, he goes, I believe we have the best locker room of anywhere in the country. And he laughed and said, I know I can't prove that because I haven't been in other locker rooms, but we really believe that we have the best locker room culture anywhere. And that's why when I told you about who sets the culture at Duke, they're the ones that set the culture. So as much as they learned about me and what my vision was, I really had to learn how to do it here at Duke. And that's what, again, I'm humbled to have that opportunity. I'm proud of these guys that I get to coach. I'm grateful for the support that I get from Nina King and Vincent Price, our president. And like I said, we're ready to roll.
Firmly believe that Duke head coach Manny Diaz is a straight shooter, and that what he says right there when he talks about support, when he talks about buy-in, is the absolute gospel truth. But you still have to prove to yourself that it's not and that's the problem with a brand new head coach. And Bill Belichick will have to do it too. He still has to prove that he can win. For Manny Diaz, he has to prove he can do it again because of the brand new landscape that we find ourselves in college football, and the fact that he is breaking in yet another new quarterback in year 2 with Adarian Mensah and letting Malik Murphy walk to Oregon State.
Manny Diaz just continues to impress me. One, with just his performance in his first year at Duke after a clean house situation pretty much with Mike Elko after he left in the middle of the night, to then win 9 games. And honestly, the only reason why he didn't win 10 is because he ran to a powerhouse in Ole Miss in their bowl game last year. But to be able to return to the ACC after not successful time at Miami, go learn Big Ten football when he was the defensive coordinator for Penn State, and then really kind of take what he learned facing against teams like Ohio State, the Michigans, the Michigan States, and implement into his scheme down here in ACC, I think it's going to pay off. It paid off a lot last year. I think you're really going to see it pay off this year, especially with Chandler Rivers returning for the Blue Devils.
A little tougher schedule for Duke this season as opposed to last season, but Diaz believes it. And again, we'll all believe it if we see more dubs than L's. All right, Panthers training camp is underway. By the way, Paul Ihander sitting in for Adam Gold today. Graham Hill is producing. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. Day two is in the books, and Wednesday and Thursday got things going. Again, more Friday workouts and whatnot. But what has been impressive so far has been the play of Princely Umanmielen. And Umanmielen much was made about him touching Bryce Young. Oh no! On Wednesday, during Wednesday's run through, and apparently they went back and looked at the tape, and it was a clean play. And he did it again on Thursday, not running into Bryce Young, but managed to crack the backfield. And now head coach Dave Canales has said, now, and I get it. It's only day 2. Let's all check ourselves before we wreck ourselves all over Princely Umanmielen. But if you want to gush a little bit, head coach Dave Canales is excited about the defensive line.
Ashawn and Turk, Jaden Crumedy, Shai Tuttle, of course, and then adding Cam Jackson and Jared Harrison Hunt. These guys, there's a bunch of really talented athletes in that room with different skill sets. You got your big power guys. You have some twitchier guys like Turk who can really get off the ball and present some problems that way. So I think it just gives us versatility in what we can do, how we can, play the opponent's run, whatever their system might be, and kind of take our approach from there. For us, again, like a lot of these guys have played a lot of pro ball, so we have a good amount of film on some of the veteran guys that we know we can count on to play tough in the run. But it is really cool to get into pads, for those guys to really show, what they can do. And there's advantages to both sides right now. There's less of a surface for the O-line to grab on at this point, but at the same time, it's also some of those guys like playing lower with their pads. So all those things kind of come to life, in a couple of days.
Okay, you almost need a translator for Dave Canales because he's so deep into the coach speak on this one. But I think what he's saying is that Derek Brown won't have to shoulder much of a load and he'll be able to recover from injury because they're that deep. And the fact that he's got a couple of edge rushers can create more opportunities for that defensive line. I always thought that Ejiro Evero's biggest goal now, with Jewell out and Shaq Thompson no longer with the team, he's got a big hole in the middle of this defense. But if they can stop the run at the line of scrimmage, they won't have to worry about that as much.
And hopefully this allows for other guys to step up and prove themselves, so that way when Derek Brown does return from injury, he's not expected as much. I mean, obviously you want him to be at his top performance, don't get me wrong, but you do not want him to have to carry the load of being the guy that's always out there pancaking somebody.
Sure, yeah.
There's plenty of syrup to go around.
Yeah, and they've signed plenty of meat to go along with those pancakes and syrup for sure. All right. Carolina Hurricanes had a chance to make some more waves. They let Panthers training camp get started. They let the ACC college football kickoff take place for 3 days, and then they said, you know what? We need to create a headline of our own. So they signed Jackson Blake, rookie, 17 goals, 17 assists season in his rookie season this past year, to an extension, and for 8 years, meaning he's going to be with this team for quite a while. Graham and I had a chance to catch up with Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour not too long ago, and we were able to ask him a myriad of questions about the offseason and this team. Adam Gold Show on this Friday. Paul Ihander in for Adam today. Appreciate him letting sit in for me. Graham Hill as well here producing the show. And joining us this morning, it's been an interesting offseason for the NHL certainly, and for this man as well, as he's seen some faces arrive on his roster for the upcoming 2025-2026 campaign. Head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, Rod Brind'Amour, joins us. Thanks for hanging out with us, Coach.
All right, no problem. Glad to be on.
And, Coach, so on Thursday night, you were probably finishing off your last few Timbits, just thinking to yourself, maybe we'll get some work done tonight, get ready for a long weekend, and then all of a sudden we get an 8-year contract extension for Jackson Blake. Just your initial thoughts about making sure that he's part of the core of this team for the upcoming future.
Well, I think that you just said it. I mean, it's, you identify players that, number one, are talented and good hockey players, but then we want guys that, I say, do it right, have just a great character and hardworking kids. And when you find them, you want to keep them as long as you can. And I think that's kind of what we've done here. And I think we all agree, there's a lot of talent there. I know he's only played a year, but I think it's pretty evident that it's going to be a good bet for both sides, and going to be happy to have him around for a long time.
Rod Brind'Amour, Carolina Hurricanes head coach, joined us this morning on the Adam Gold Show. Paul Ihander and Graham Hill filling in for Adam. And Coach Brind'Amour, I'm starting to notice a trend during your tenure as the head coach. And again, this is all a part of the front office, but after certain players, young players, have these breakout seasons, like an Andrei Svechnikov, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Seth Jarvis, now Jackson Blake, you guys like to go ahead and lock them up long term. What is it about recognizing talent right away and realizing that you want these guys to stick around on your team?
Yeah, I think it's most of those guys you mentioned is pretty obvious to see, but I think it's the other part. I think it's when you invest in those kind of players, you're investing in people, and whether they ever actually reach that full potential, whether or not, you're still okay with them because you know what they bring in the room and what kind of people they are and the work ethic and all that stuff. So I think we've done a real good job identifying that. And like I said, when you like somebody and know it's a great fit, you want to make sure you can try to keep them around as long as possible.
Sports radio is all about speculation, Coach, and so you signed Jackson Blake to the long-term deal in the offseason. You locked down Logan Stankoven as well. Is there an imaginary world, or is there a multiverse world where you have both those guys on a line with that speedy center, and this is like your dream line?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I hope so. That'd be great. I think it's still – it's more about just keep getting good young talent and great people, like I mentioned, and then trying to figure out how it all blends together. And we know in hockey, there's the lines change quite a bit, and you're always shuffling things around. But we love the talent that both those players possess, and the potential for them to keep getting better and better is certainly real.
Staying on Logan Stankoven for just a second, his extension as well, Coach. Obviously comes into the organization during a murky time. I'll just leave it at that. But what impressed you the most about his development last season that gave you the stamp of approval that this is another guy that we want to keep around here?
Well, I think it's what I've talked about already. He came in. I didn't have nobody did really. He hadn't played a ton of games, but I think there was a lot of potential there. And then once you get a kid around, or anybody around this group, and you kind of get to know them a little bit, you see what kind of person they are, and he was a great fit. And I think his willingness to kind of do whatever the team asks and willingness to get better, I think that to me is the key. Everybody can say the right things, but you gotta do it. And this guy is one of those guys that we know constantly working on his game and trying to do whatever he can to make the team better. And that's somebody we definitely want around.
Having a good conversation here with Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour here on the Adam Gold Show. And, Coach, the new CBA has been done. You get 2 more regular season games starting the following season, 2 fewer preseason games. I know you're not a big all-star game guy, but when it comes to extending the season and reducing the preseason, how does that affect you?
Well, it doesn't really affect me. It's good. I'm not a big fan of preseason hockey games. They're just, I think the guys nowadays, they come into camp in great shape, and literally could start as soon as they show up and start playing games. And so those preseason games are you're just trying to get through them without getting dinged up and whatever. So I'd rather just, gas the whole preseason, to be honest. And if they have to add a few games to make up for it, that's fine. I'd rather play games for real than the day where guys came to camp and you who's going to make the team, like those days are pretty much done. You kind of almost, everybody knows who's on the team. It's, it's where you fit is really what happens now. It's just based on how the contracts are laid out. So it's a little different than it was in previous years, in the past. And so shortening the preseason is I think, a good move.
Obviously, Coach, you've gotten used to it during your time living both in Raleigh, but also coaching the Hurricanes organization. And it's the North Carolina State Fair road trip, as we like to call it, 2 weeks into the season, a gauntlet of early part of the schedule. Is there anything that you're trying to figure out about your team when you're playing that much away from home and you kind of start to see if the guys really start to bond with one another and build that cohesive unit?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, it maybe is probably too much blowing up about that kind of stuff. It's like, everybody has these long road trips, and yeah, the guys are together a lot more, obviously, when you're on the road. But I don't know how much that helps or doesn't help. I think it's good to, when you're fresh, meaning we're not, with all the travel that goes on in the air, we're not kind of bogged down right away. So everyone's a little more enthusiastic about being on the road. I enjoy that, getting it out of the way, those road games early. Especially generally we go out west somewhere, and so that's a long trip. So if you can kind of knock it out when everyone's still pretty excited about playing, I think as the season drags on, those trips become a little tougher.
Head Coach Rod Brind'Amour joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Coach, I want to talk about your offseason a little bit. Is there some big group chat of you coaches in the offseason going, "Oh, sweet, what a great move, glad you got that guy," or "That guy's a good dude," or you're thinking to yourself, "Man, should we just get together and play some golf in Whistler next summer"?
Yeah, well, I don't know. You're onto something there. I think. No, we don't have a big group chat. I mean, I certainly have. Just like anyone would, certain coaches you're a little more connected with.
Sure.
And if I end up getting one of their players or whatever, you'll get a text or whatever or some sort of communication. But we're pretty competitive. For the most part. I mean, we respect each other, but everybody knows everybody wants to, beat each other up when it really comes down to it. So, there isn't really one of those things going around. But you do definitely get comments from guys that when you pick up players or when you re-sign guys, that's for sure.
So when the Hurricanes were involved very much so on July 1st and the days following, who blew up your phone the most about the guys that you were pulling in?
Well, actually, the most comes from our own players a lot of times. Like,
Okay.
I'll get texts from guys like, "Hey, good move. Like, you're getting, whatever." I think they appreciate the organization trying to get better, right? Like, they all have the same goal. So we want to win the whole thing. We need to keep trying to get better. And I think they appreciate the moves where, they see we're attempting to, get better. And that's the goal.
Final question for Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour joining us on the Adam Gold Show. When you think about the team identity going into this upcoming year, does this current roster reflect the kind of team that you want to coach, fast, aggressive, and defensively sound?
Well, I think if that's what it becomes, then yes. I think you just said it. I mean, that's any coach would love to have that. I mean, it's end of the day, I think, we've definitely built something here. And that identity can't waver. We're going to adapt and we're going to, make your adjustments. But what's made this team successful we can't deviate from that. And that's kind of what you just mentioned. It's also being ultra competitive, and that's I think kind of been a trademark of our group. And I know that's something we're not going to waver from.
Always great to talk NHL shop in the offseason and in-season with Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour. And, Coach, I'm not trying to get your approval or anything, but did you enjoy the fact that I dropped a Tim Hortons reference, and maybe I should talk more about all-dressed chips and things like that when we talk?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're kind of barking up a tree that I'm not really all that familiar with, but I do know what you're referring to. So, I don't know. Listen, it's your show. You do it how you want.
Okay, well, listen, then I appreciate that, Coach. Rod, thanks for hanging out with us today. Always great to catch up.
Okay, take care, guys.
Head Coach Rod Brind'Amour joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Always great to hang out with him. Some real good insight. Obviously, a big fan of Jackson Blake. A clear thumbs up. Not worried about that as the emperor of the Carolina Hurricanes. He just put he didn't even have to hold it sideways. He just kind of went like this and said, Blake's a good guy for us to have on board. We got a full show coming for you. Paul Ihander in for Adam Gold today. Coming up next, we'll get a ranking on how Bill Belichick did for his first time in front of North Carolina media. That's coming up next on the Adam Gold Show.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina.
to the canes,
She scores!
he covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Here's how you know the Bill Belichick hype is through the roof. At ACC Media Kickoff, Dabo Swinney, one of the most popular, famous coaches in the country, was walking around giving interviews, and almost no one was following him. That's because every media member was up at Bill Belichick's press conference hoping for just a few seconds of audio from the UNC coach.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at X Golf in Cary, and I have your weekend plans because I've seen the weather report for Saturday and Sunday, and it's brutal. So let's play golf indoors in the Golden Pint Scramble, 2 days, scramble-style event. And remember, if you need to know what that is, playxgolf.com/Cary. The 26th, 27th of July, 1 to 4, Trophy Brewing on site, all sorts of things you can taste, and prizes to be won if you're good enough. Playxgolf.com/Cary.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? It's all here, only with Spectrum TV Select. Popular apps are included: Disney Plus, Max, Peacock Premium, Paramount Plus, AMC Plus, and more. And live TV for sports, entertainment, and news. Enjoy across your devices no matter when or where you are. Get Spectrum TV Select and start streaming your favorites today. It's all here. Visit spectrum.com/entertainment. Restrictions apply.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do you get? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone. Available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 Bird Dogs for just $5 or 2 Bird Dog combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news.
Give me a mountain with lots to do. Give me something simple and true. All I need is sunshine and a cool, refreshing Mountain Dew. Yes, give me my good friends. Give me a dew.
Grab some ice-cold Mountain Dew today.
Mountain Dew.
Rock out with your favorite bands at Lost 80s Live at Cocoa Booth Amphitheater, August 3rd. Grab your tickets at etix.com today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-486-9600. That's 800-486-9600. This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
The Walk of Life. One of my favorite jams from back in the day. Paul Ihander in for Adam Gold today. Graham Hill producing today in for Victoria, making our music selections. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Friday, folks. Bill Belichick made his first kind of official appearance at ACC football kickoff. I mean, it was the official appearance. And he had a chance to talk with the assembled media, and hopefully for some, they learned something new about the Carolina football team, which is really, since spring practices, has been kept under wraps. And spring practice is way different from fall practice based on who left and then also who came in. Joining us to talk about that and many more things Carolina is our good friend from Inside Carolina, Tommy Ashley, T. Ashley IC on X. Tommy Ashley in the flesh. Good to see you, friend.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me. Ready to talk some football.
And I think we've all been ready to talk football. As Graham likes to say, inject it in my veins right now, right? This is that special time of year.
Absolutely.
38 days. 38 days until we actually see a meaningful snap from this Carolina football team. And Bill Belichick, brand new head coach, who's ready to take whatever team he has assembled on the field, is very vintage Bill Belichick. How would you rate his appearance and what he said about this team in 2025 that could get actually you excited and Heels fans excited about this upcoming year?
Ooh, that's a big question.
It
I
is.
mean, yesterday in Charlotte was absolutely insane. You referenced it, and all these folks are referencing it on tweets and whatever, but it was just an absolute circus around Belichick. I mean, it was literally like the Pied Piper with everybody following him around and basically ignoring everybody else on Thursday. Y'all mentioned Dabo Swinney being there, and it was just madness. But as far as what was said from Belichick about this specific North Carolina team, not a whole lot. I mean, they're working hard, they're doing the right things, they're getting better. Where you got the Bill Belichick insight is if you ask him about something that wasn't related directly to the team or the season. You know, somebody asked about the fullbacks position, and he went on a 2 or 3 minute riff on that. And other people ask him about different former coaches or other aspects of NFL life, and he's very affable. He talks a lot. He laughed. He joked. But specifics about the 2025 North Carolina football team are few and far between. The players were off to the side and had their moments, but they're pretty good at coach speak as well. But still, the hype and excitement for this North Carolina season, not only among North Carolina fans, is real, and it was impressive yesterday to see it.
Tommy Ashley of Inside Carolina at T. Ashley IC on X, joining us on the Adam Gold Show. Staying away from the X's and O's a little bit, as if the Labor Day Monday Night Football College Edition couldn't get any more spectacular. It was announced yesterday that ESPN's College Game Day is going to be doing a pregame show, and then they're also doing a pregame show on the radio side of things. When it comes to that environment for the first game of the season and the debut of the Belichick era, Tommy, when's the last time that Carolina football had this much media presence surrounding them going into a season?
You know, I don't know about, media presence in today is different than it was, even 5, 10, 15 years ago. You got a lot of websites and you got all that cover. But I went back when Greg Barnes and I talked outside the Hilton in Charlotte on our stand-up after yesterday. I don't remember it being this much hype going into a season than maybe 2010 before the rug was pulled out. And then you go back to 97 in Mac's first year against that Florida State team. I mean, the hype around this program, in 2010, they were expected to be really good. And Greg made this point. That was expected to be a top 10 football team with the potential to scare for the national championship. And they almost beat LSU with, all those players missing. This year, this team is not projected to be really good. I mean, decent, above decent. But the hype that's come along with Belichick, you just don't know. You don't know how much of the hype is real versus just the hype around Belichick. And I think it's the Belichick hype. But look, North Carolina paid a lot of money for Coach Belichick to come to Chapel Hill. They are getting that money back in spades in the press. We're talking about them. Everybody's talking about them. Everybody's covering them. Listen, guys, there were grown men in the media yesterday that were taking selfies in the breakout session with Belichick on the podium in the background. Tell me the last time you've ever seen that at an ACC football kickoff.
I want names, Tommy. I want names.
I'm not going to. Yeah. I will protect the innocent, but
Ross
I was
was probably one of them.
I'm not going to name names. I will not admit or deny any name you announce, but It's madness. And as far as, I've covered it a long time, I'd have to go back to 97 or that 2010 season for when the hype and expectations were this high. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that those years can match it, given what we saw yesterday.
Tommy Ashley of Inside Carolina joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Paul Ihander and Graham Hill. I think it was good, Tommy, that when it came to the players and them sitting down with the reporters and the media, the podcasters, et cetera, content creators, guys like Jordan Shipp and Lopez, they were all saying, like, we don't worry about the off-the-field stuff. We see it, but our focus is on football. And I think for me, that's refreshing to understand that they're dialed in, regardless of whatever circus is playing around them, whether they're paying attention, whether they're dialed into it or not, and the NIL and all the other things that come along with it, that they're here to play football, and they understand they're playing for a legendary coach that might be able to teach them something.
Absolutely. And I think that's a benefit for this team because of all of that that's going on with Belichick and all that noise and the hype off the field. You're right. The players appear to be 100% dialed in on the field. And that's where it matters because ultimately, all of this stuff we're talking about doesn't matter if they go out and lose football games. If they go out and go 6-6, they're going to be people across the country that are pleased. There are going to be people across the country, and especially in Chapel Hill, that are devastated. But the players have to ultimately do it. And I think they are benefiting from not themselves being in the spotlight so much. Now, some of that has to do with Belichick and his staff not really letting the players be in the spotlight too much. But those four that were there yesterday spoke a lot about just working and working under or behind the scenes while everything else goes on off the field. I think it's a definite benefit for this football team that stuff does not seem to have carried over onto the practice field. We'll see what happens on Labor Day, but I think they're doing it the right way player-wise for sure.
Tommy Ashley of Inside Carolina joining myself and Paul Ihander on the Adam Gold Show. Belichick emphasized a lot player development through that NFL-style pipeline at the college level. How compelling do you think that pitch is for both recruiting and also how might it reshape the recruiting battle that we see not just here in the Triangle but also across the ACC?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I talk to it a lot. We talk about it a lot with Don Callahan. Ultimately, it comes down to fit and development, but supremely, ultimately, if that's even a way to put it, it comes down to the financial factor these days for a lot of guys. And if somebody offers you, Graham, if somebody offered you, $3 million to go somewhere for me as your coach versus, $500,000 for Bill Belichick as your coach, where are you going to go? And those decisions may have to be made. But I think player development is one thing that has lacked the last several years in North Carolina, where we saw highly ranked recruiting classes not really pan out and produce their, likeness in the win column. But I think Belichick and his staff are proven to be able to do that. And I think it's important for guys. I think we'll see it pick up in the 26 cycle and then the 27 cycle in high school recruiting. And then the portal, is so transactional in the portal. Yes, they want to be coached. Yes, they want to be developed, but yes, they want a bag. And I'm not speaking about every single player across the board, but that money is still extremely important in a lot of these eyes.
Tommy, with the moments we have left with you, and maybe this is one of those things that hasn't been said and is maybe only hoped for, and we know what hope is. Hope's a dangerous mistress for sure. And it was tongue-in-cheek when Pat Narduzzi, head coach of Pitt, said, I expect him to be in the championship game against Pitt this year. You got Bill Belichick, you better be, right? And Mike Norvell at Florida State being very reverent to Bill Belichick as well. But I go back to the Narduzzi thing. Is this, or where is this fall in terms of the hopes and the unsaid things about North Carolina and Carolina fans right now? That the expectation, with great responsibility, great expectations, right? That a championship or bust when you bring in a guy like Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I often say it's not the despair that gets you, it's the hope. And I think we're there with this team. And, I think it's unrealistic to think they play for an ACC championship this year just because they don't have the dudes that they need yet. But the schedule's awfully soft, and they should win games. They should not lose games that they should win like they've done in the past. They've always had one or two of those what is happening games. And if you erase those, then you push yourself up towards the top. Narduzzi, that was classic Narduzzi, putting the great expectations on the shoulder of the Carolina program. And if they don't meet it, everybody can say, look, they did all this, they gave all this money, and they still didn't win. But I think realistically for North Carolina fans, I think you should expect 8 wins this year. Anything less, I think, is a disappointment, bordering massive disappointment. And if something happens and it all clicks and they win 10, 11 ball games, then I think it just tells you what the future is going to be like. And then you start looking in 26 and 27 as possible opportunities, if they're still in the ACC, to win the ACC.
Yeah, I saw that from you guys, too. Very quickly, SEC, ACC, that doesn't feel like a surprise to me, though, Tommy, that Carolina would be exploring kind of a chance to shine on what is arguably the largest spotlight in college football.
Absolutely, and you've always got to be looking ahead. And I think North Carolina's administration, with the people they've put in place, both at the highest levels on campus and within the athletic department, I think they're acutely aware of the need to explore those opportunities. And look, I'm from North Carolina. I'm not an old Southern Conference guy. I'm not that old, but give me the SEC any day. I would not complain at all having to go down to Ole Miss or Baton Rouge to cover ball games.
Well, some people like New Coke and Coke Classic, and some people prefer Pepsi, as we know here in North Carolina, Tommy. Tommy Ashley, Inside Carolina. Appreciate you, friend. Good to see you again.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me this year, and good luck in the future.
All right, Tommy Ashley, Inside Carolina. T. Ashley IC on X is where you can follow him. It's the Adam Gold Show here. Paul Ihander in for Adam today on this Friday. Graham Hill in for Victoria as well. One-timers coming up next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
I had questions about my child's vaccines, so I got real answers from her doctor because we share the same goal, keeping her healthy and strong. Her doctor told me that keeping up with childhood vaccines, getting them at the recommended ages and sometimes together, is a proven way to protect her from serious illnesses, ones that can be prevented with vaccines. Have questions? Get real answers. Talk to your doctor. Visit vaccinesforkids.nc.gov. Paid for by NCDHHS.
Make this your best summer yet by having fun while staying active and engaged. AARP can help. Find AARP events near you by visiting aarp.org/local. That's aarp.org/local to find both in-person and virtual events. You can also learn more about living your best life by listening to AARP Without Limits, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Ask any college student. If it wasn't for the last minute, lots of assignments wouldn't get done. So if you haven't figured out your plan for college and how to pay for it yet, don't worry, you've still got time. And with the next NC scholarship, you can still get money to pay for most or all of your tuition. To apply, just fill out your FAFSA and you could get $3,000 for community college or $5,000 for public university, and possibly more. See how easy it is to apply at nextncscholarship.org.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Each year, 3.6 million people in the U.S. delay or skip medical care altogether simply because they can't get to a healthcare provider. From long distances to unreliable public transit to the cost of a tank of gas, it all adds up. LaPonda Edmondson, president of the North Carolina Healthcare Foundation, joins me to talk about how their social impact program is making a difference in Robeson County.
We're investing $900,000 over the course of 3 years in Robeson County. Our aim there is to be able to support these projects that address transportation as a social driver of health.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Healthcare? Why?
Why is it so hard?
Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Really?
Really. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting all your benefits, prescriptions, and details on your computer and phone. Convinced?
No, but it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina, making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Did you know Atlantic hurricane season runs through November? From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
Every parent wants their child to grow up healthy and strong, especially if they have a special medical need. And when my son Maddox was born with a rare neurological disorder, private insurance wouldn't cover his care. But Medicaid stepped in, and now Maddox can go to school and have a future of his own. My name is Ashley, and I'm speaking up to protect NC Medicaid.
Learn more at ncchild.org/speakup. That's ncchild.org/speakup.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
I don't want to be. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, a Friday. Paul Ihander in for Adam Gold today. This is the Adam Gold Show. Graham Hill in for Victoria as well, as both of them taking a day off after a very long ACC football kickoff week in Charlotte. Let's line it up, Graham. It's time for some one-timers.
Questions and answer time with Paul Ihander. And Paul, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
As I know that you're a betting degenerate like I am.
I am a degenerate.
And since there's no one-timer questions or YouTube live chat, you guys suck. I'm kidding. If you guys have any questions you want to ask Paul Ihander, feel free to drop it in right now. But in the meantime, we're going to just go through a little bit of some over-under win totals for the teams that we cover, just because, why not? Starting with our professional team in Charlotte.
Ugh.
The Charlotte Hornets are going to win the NBA Finals this year. I'm kidding. FanDuel's got the Panthers win total set at 6.5 for this season. Are you smashing the over with belief in Bryce Young and this new look roster, or are you taking the under and saying this rebuild still has a way to go?
It's not a smash, but it is a challenging number to get over. I do believe it's an over. It's going to take some wins at home, for sure. And with the NFC South in a weird flux, clearly the Saints are not the class. You've got the Falcons who are figuring out their own, and the Buccaneers who continue to churn over staff left and right and left and right and left and right. I think it is ripe for the Carolina Panthers to take advantage of the fact that they only won 5 games last season and propel that even further. I think those 5 wins accelerated the timeline of the Panthers to get them in a much more healthier place. Now, remember, we also play 17 games now, so 7 wins is not like this, oh my God, unattainable number, but it will require some effort and some true dialing in. And again, for a team that had roughly half of its team turnover in terms of starters and reserves, they're going to have to gel once again in training camp. There you go. Over.
Let's head down 264 to Greenville for a second. FanDuel's got East Carolina pegged, see what I did there, at 6.5 wins and Blake Harrell's first full season at the helm. Also see what else I did there.
Yeah.
Are you buying into the new era with the over or playing it cautious and leaning under for the Pirates in year 2?
What's that?
Or year 1
what's
under
that sexy
Blake
number
Harrell?
again?
6.5.
6.5. Boy, I'd have to dial into their schedule just a little bit and say hello to all my friends out there in Greenville. So with the AC, which is now what they call it,
the American,
not the AAC, but the AC and the American, I see a lot more wins than losses for East Carolina. And again, you've got to get past some simple games like Campbell, and I don't mean that down there in Bowie's, down in the creek. I don't mean that's going to be a walkover by any means. That BYU game got a lot less interesting because their starting quarterback, Jake Retzlaff, is no longer there and is transferred out of that program. So now I look at a game like that, and that feels a lot more winnable with a Power 4 conference team showing up in Greenville. So the number was 6.5?
Yep.
Over.
Taking the over.
I will take 7+. Again, not an easy one, much like the Panthers, but I think the ride got a little bit simpler.
After all the preseason playoff hype last year, NC State stumbled to a 6-7 finish.
Damn you.
They've got C.J. Bailey back under center and another shot at proving doubters wrong. FanDuel's got their win total at 6.5. So what's it going to be? Are you riding the pack and taking the over, or are you bracing for another letdown and going under?
3, 4, 5,
I think State
6.
might have one of the most difficult schedules out of the Triangle teams this year.
I'll take 7.
I'll take
7, and I think it's going to be an offensive 7. Like, they are going to have to outscore some opponents to get to that.
Is
7.
that
like really outscore?
Is that a floor 7? Is that a realistic 7, or is that like expectations for this year? 7 wins.
7. That is a 7, and nothing more from me. I hate saying that out loud because I want Carolina teams to do well. We just talked about the Panthers, just talked about the Pirates. State 7. I got you at 7.
In the 45 seconds that we have left, and sorry, Duke fans, we'll have David Shumate come on at 2:15, so we'll get our Duke fill in this program. Tar Heels are heading to the unknown with Bill Belichick calling the shots in his first ever college coaching gig. 7.5. Are you bold enough to take the over in Bill Belichick's first year, or are you hammering the under with a little side eye at how this transition
go big or go home, Graham.
might really go?
Go big or go home. Tommy Ashley said like 8. So 7.5, I think they get past TCU in that opener. I really do. And I think the rest of the schedule sets up pretty nice for them, to be honest. I think Bill Belichick will get that team together. Is it an easy 8? No, it's not. It's not. And in this age of college football, professional football, it definitely ain't easy. Thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon, tonight, wherever you may be. More of the Adam Gold Show on the way.
From the Heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the Canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Here's how you know the Bill Belichick hype is through the roof. At ACC Media Kickoff, Dabo Swinney, one of the most popular, famous coaches in the country, was walking around giving interviews, and almost no one was following him. That's because every media member was up at Bill Belichick's press conference hoping for just a few seconds of audio from the UNC coach.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Longer days mean longer rides. Make sure your bike, your ATV, your side-by-side, even your golf cart are the best around. From sound station and security, we've got custom stereo systems, custom speakers, even video and LED lighting options for your bike, your ATV, and even your golf cart. Look the coolest on the road or at the lake, just tooling around. All available with installation from Sound Station and Security, with 2 locations, downtown Smithfield and on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. Online at myhotsound.com.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. T&Cs apply.
This is what WRAL weather coverage sounds like.
Thunderstorm warning right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
When your safety is a priority.
An indication that there is a tornado on the ground, so get in your safe spot
in this area, get in your safe spot right now.
With the tools that make a difference.
WRAL Storm Tracker is inside the storm.
WRAL has the only dual Doppler radar in Wade County.
Hear it and see it every day.
It looks like the storm is doing exactly what we predicted to do.
That's WRAL News. Weather coverage you can count on.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
24 monthly bill credits. New line $100 plus a month on experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying ported. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Payout via virtual prepaid card allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
If only life had a remote control, you could pause or rewind. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
At Progressive, we understand the bond you have with your boat. It's why people name theirs.
I named my boat Sure Don't. Get it? The other day when my friend said, "Hey Larry, you want to head back in? It looks like it might rain." I said, "Sure don't." I guess they didn't get it because they didn't laugh.
Whatever you call your boat, protected by insuring it with Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at richielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I think that the sky's the limit for this group. This is going to be a very competitive team. I don't think people are going to want to play us by the style of football that we play. I'm expecting that. My expectations are really high for this group. They are every year, and we're going to shoot for as good as we can get. My language to the group is I want to make sure we maximize the talent in this room. That'll take us as far as we need to go, but that's going to be our focus.
Go get me a win, Dave Canales. Yes, go get me a win. Just go fetch me a win. The golden retriever of NFL head coaches. Relentless energy, Dave Canales, and I can appreciate that. I try to live like that too, to be fair. Paul Ihander is the voice that you're hearing. It is not Adam Gold today. Adam Gold is off after ACC football kickoff, which was held in Charlotte this past week. Victoria is also off today, and Graham Hill is in. Say hello to the fine friends of ours, Graham Hill.
Hello. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
You've almost made it.
Final Friday of July. You have made it at this point. And we know that meaningful football is not too far around the corner. And you can count exhibition games. You can. You are allowed. As football fans, the permission is granted. Not that you truly need it, but I will offer it to you as a way to embrace the fact that the NFL Hall of Fame game is less than a week away. And it won't matter if it's 3 for 20 appearances by backup quarterbacks or random guy from Grand Valley Tech State College, whatever it is, who just made the tackle with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Am I a sicko for one to treat the Hall of Fame game like the Super Bowl?
You're going to bet on it.
In terms of not just betting, but having a party. Like
you're going to get together and have a party pizza?
It's football. It's football back on my television. Like I've been saying, put it in an IV bag. And inject it in my veins. Like that's how fired up I am. Yeah, that's how fired up I am to have football back on my television screen.
Right, Graham does not need the paddles. Clear. He'll be ready. All right, let's run it back here just a little bit as we get this portion of the Adam Gold Show kicked off. As we give you some of the more important things of the day and whatnot. Let's start with the Panthers here, Graham. Where they're today was kind of the Friday as we speak to you. Friday's a little bit more of a walkthrough day. Not a lot of big things going on, bigger run-throughs going this weekend. Then they have a day off. But camp is underway. Again, excited about having camp. Defense has been fantastic. We also have a fairly deep wide receiver room, and I say defense fantastic by only judging it after 2 days. But it's much more improved. Lots of depth on the line. The rookies, especially Uman Mielen, has been playing well. Princely Uman Mielen has been getting past the left side of the line, which actually is not good news for the Carolina Panthers. But it's only 2 days. It's only 2 days. But Dave Canales is already being asked to speculate. Yes, the NFL's golden retriever on the possibility of keeping 7 wide receivers on the opening day roster.
Yeah, we got to see. Again, those last couple of spots, whether it's in the secondary room or the wide receiver room, really comes down to who we can count on in special teams. We're big believers. That's part of the heart and soul of our philosophy of building this team is good football players. And those guys show up in the kicking game. They can cover and make tackles. They can play gunner. You can put them as returners. You can put them at PP, so it's the versatility of the skill players, tight ends included, who are the guys we can count on special teams. That's really what's going to make the decision because, again, you get one ball, you got about 3 wide receivers, sometimes 4 out there, so you're really playing with about 4 guys, and those 5th or 6th guys sometimes, it's hard to find those guys a role. It's the same thing in the secondary. So when they can play teams, you always got a helmet for them because they're going to help us regardless, on our special teams in those units.
But I wonder, Dave Canales, if last year you got a little bit scorched and you might be, or maybe it's Dan Morgan that has to be a little bit more worried about having to go to a waiver wire and go grab a guy. And surprisingly, he was good. Not surprisingly, but you had to take out a Deontay Johnson and you brought in a Jalen Coker. And Jalen Coker was diamond in the rough.
Exceeded expectations.
And you look at your roster now, and I don't think you want to get burned like that. Now, you have a different receiver room. There's no doubt about it. A bunch of different guys. But injuries happen, and, again, strange stuff happens in locker rooms, too, to where the possibility of keeping 7 receivers on the roster may not necessarily just come down to whether or not they can play special teams, but whether there's a little hint of fear.
You might need them. Yeah.
Yeah, a little something in the back of their heads going, man, I do not want to have to go to the waiver wire to pick up a wide receiver and teach them a playbook.
Yeah.
Especially 10 weeks into a season, and especially how the NFC South shapes up. I'm just saying. Dave Doran at NC State. He likes continuity. He's had continuity. Talked about last year the transfer portal was a little bit more miss than it was hit. Maybe there were a few feet out the door before the season even ended. I don't know how it is. But Dave Doran does like, step 1, step 2, step 3, and every brick looks the same. And that's how he builds programs and builds that relationship. And that relationship has been built, and he's talked about it, and he said so at the ACC meetings about the confidence he has in his quarterback coming back for a sophomore year in C.J. Bailey.
Well, it's the first time I've had a returning starter at quarterback, I think, in 3 years, so the whole offseason's different when you know who that guy is and the team respects him. You don't have to build all the competition around that position. And really it's about getting the chemistry of the offense the right way and him growing, in the areas he needs to grow in. So, yeah, I'm excited to have CJ as a returning starter. Excited about the guys in the room with CJ as well. I think Lex Thomas is playing really good football. Will Wilson's playing really good football. So our quarterback room's in good shape right now.
All right, so if Thomas and Wilson, though, were getting into games, you're already in trouble. Like, Grayson McCall last year, dude's now at Coastal Carolina, coaching up quarterbacks there, got hurt in that game. I was there. That was just brutal. Hated that for him. Stars in his eyes, and he had stars, star potential as well. But we move on, right? C.J. Bailey is coming back with a lot of weapons. He's also been able to develop time with those guys into a new season where he doesn't have to learn a new playbook. And I do believe C.J. Bailey, who we knew had the acumen, the physical ability, and certainly the mental ability to play quarterback, that continuity, much like we've talked about with the Panthers with Bryce Young and being able to have the same coaches and the same playbook in a year 2, only helps him take off, which is why, if you missed the last hour of the Adam Gold Show, I did say that NC State, while it wasn't going to be an easy 7 games could be just the bottom mark for them, depending on how this offense can put up points.
In this day and age of college football, now I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated or win the ACC championship. It's a huge advantage to return a quarterback in this day and age where it's a carousel of transfers. And for C.J. Bailey, who came into a difficult situation last year, held up his own. The only bad game that I really remember him having last year was against Georgia Tech, where he threw, I think, 3 picks, and that lost against GT. But even then, it was still a 1-possession loss for the Wolfpack. So for Dave Doran to have continuity at the quarterback position, that sets them up for success right away. It's just a matter of, again, how can they fit in this new offense? What's this new offensive playbook from Kurt Roberts going to look like? We don't know if NC State's going to be an air raid offense. if you're a State fan, you're probably hoping that it's not bubble screens or jet sweeps like we saw last year. But just how quickly can C.J. Bailey build that chemistry and get consistent in his throws with these new wide receivers, but also the receivers that are coming back too, and Noah Rogers and tight end Justin Jolie.
Yeah, he's got playmakers. There's no doubt about it. And for this team, and again, continuity is very important. You just look around the ACC about continuity. Carson Beck, brand new at Miami. He's got to absorb a brand new playbook. I think people expect that. But even just locally here, just dial into the teams that are here in the ACC within the state of North Carolina. It's all brand new guys. You got Robbie Ashford at Wake Forest, Darian Mensah at Duke, and at Carolina, Gio Lopez. All brand new dudes with brand new playbooks and in some cases, brand new coaches. So that continuity can only help. If there's an advantage for Dave Doeren and NC State, it's the fact that their quarterback is the same guy that it was from last year to this year. Bill Belichick spoke to hundreds of media. We had Tommy Ashley as a guest from Inside Carolina earlier in the show, and he talked about how there were reporters and bloggers and whatnot taking selfies with Bill Belichick in the background. That's how just of a circus or a zoo or whatever you want to call it was when he took to the podium. But when you come down to it, he is still the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. He is still coaching young men and not NFL players, and he talked about that difference.
On the college end, you're right, the players are a little bit younger and less skilled. Sometimes that's an advantage. There are fewer bad habits to break. But I would say also the players are, I'd say, much more receptive to the coaching. They haven't had as long with the way that they were doing it, through a college career, maybe even through some pro years, where they were, started to develop some habits that they were comfortable with and maybe were a little harder to change. I'd say, with our players, they've been very receptive to everything we've asked them to do. They've trained extremely hard. As I said, the personal achievements between their strength, their speed, their explosiveness, all the different body fat percentages, all different things that we measure is, in the high 90% range. I mean, there's only a couple guys that haven't, had the improvement, but really it's been pretty much the whole team. So that's been, as a coach, it's fun. It's fun to see players get better.
Basically everything you should be doing as a head coach.
Right.
Evaluating players.
Develop guys.
Managing their strength and conditioning in the offseason. I mean, look, Bill Belichick even said it yesterday, and he answered the question of a reporter when asked, do you have kind of a realistic outlook of how good or the strength of your team this upcoming season? He said no. Come back to me after training camp. So just like the fans, he doesn't even know what his most talented position is going to be on this team. Now, also, the sports fan tells me that might be Bill Belichick just throwing up smoke screens.
And that's okay, too.
Yeah, it's just trying to keep it under wraps until Monday Night Football College Edition against TCU.
38 days away. 38 days away until we see meaningful snaps from the Carolina Tar Heels, where expectations are high because of the coach, but expectations are also tempered because we really haven't seen them do anything on the field. All right, coming up next, it is the Adam Gold Show. Paul Ihander with you. Graham Hill producing today. We are going to run to Greenville, talk a little bit about the ECU program. Yeah, it's fall in the American Conference. Patrick Johnson, host of the Patrick Johnson Show. Yeah, they named a show after him. Imagine that. Coming up next here on the Adam Gold Show.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but it doesn't mean me and my co-host, WREL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as training camp approaches, insights on the rookies, the free agents, and the surprises, plus all the insider info on the upcoming season. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Heineken Silver, world-class light beer with only 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. Why world-class? Because it has a crisp and superior taste. That's world-class. It has only 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. That's very world-class. So, if I'm seen drinking it by association, am I world-class? Oh yeah, Heineken Silver, world-class light beer with only 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
Fargo, your virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Fargo is only available on the smartphone versions of the Wells Fargo mobile app. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do you get? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone. Available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 Bird Dogs for just $5 or 2 Bird Dog combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowes.com/delivery for more details.
This is Adam Gold.
We had lightning hit a pretty large tree.
Oh, yeah.
About 150 yards from the house. It'll be my sign to go win the lottery. But you know what? I'm sorry, I can't. I have rules. If it's not over $1 billion, I'm not playing.
Yeah, still just millions.
The Adam Gold Show.
Adam Gold Show on this Friday. Paul Ihander in for Adam Gold today. Appreciate him letting me sit in and take over. We have talked a lot of ACC, even dropped in a little SEC throughout the program today as the college football camps get ready to open up, but it's all about the talking heads right now as we get our first glimpses into programs, especially at all levels. And one of those levels happens to be the brand new AC, which I'm getting used to. Joining us here on the Adam Gold Show, he is the host of the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game in Greenville. He is Patrick Johnson, and imagine that. They named the show after you, and you get to keep
Works
your name.
out.
Yeah, it absolutely works out. Let's talk about working out first of all. How long do you think it'll take you to get used to the AC as they drop the athletic from the American Conference?
Right. Well, you know, having the occasion to do a lot of American games on ESPN Plus the last several years, we kind of got, I don't want to say the memo, but we got the word in the spring that the conference was toying around with this and would prefer it to be called the American Conference. So that's kind of been in the vernacular of of East Carolina fans and those of us that do cover the league the last couple of years. It makes sense to me. The American Athletic Conference seemed a little clunky, and then when you would go AAC, I mean, my dad, who's a great sports fan, was telling me the other day he typed in AAC and the ACC came up. So you can imagine what the issues were when you do a simple Google search of your favorite search engine, Paul. But I'll say this. The thing that to me, I guess, I don't know if I would find it a little baffling, and I'm sure you've seen this, but Soar the Eagle. I don't know of a conference that has a mascot.
He's got guns.
Well, he's certainly been hitting the gym. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But it's just odd that you have this mascot. But I guess there's a reason for it. And look, somebody got paid to do the artwork. So
right.
God
Listen,
bless
hey, Eagle-y was already taken. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. And soar, it's not like it's like soar. The eagle is soaring. Type of thing.
Not soar that we've played a lot of football games in the East Carolina in the heat.
Right. Yeah, we're not sore after. Yeah, nothing like that. Or eyesore. But I didn't say that. So.
And that Eastern Carolina humidity that myself and Patrick Johnson are so used to. Although you're in the working man's city of Surf City.
No, get it right, Graham. Working man's beach.
Working man's beach. Sorry.
Yes,
apologies to all
Island.
Apologies to all the Wilmington natives that are listening right now that offended. Patrick Johnson, host of the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game in Greenville, join us on the Adam Gold Show. Let's start with this. Blake Harrell steps in as head coach after taking over midseason last year. From your perspective, what kind of tone or identity is he setting now that he's officially at the helm of the program?
Well, he talked about this a little bit with my colleague Philip Pilkington yesterday as they did some kind of off-the-book type of interviews, nothing official at the conference, but media that was there gathered and in Charlotte and assembled with some of the coaches. The main event was today. But to answer your question, Graham, I think Blake Harrell has talked about this, and when you get the interim job in the fashion in which he did last year, you're just kind of concentrating on winning the day, winning the week, winning the game, and he was able to do that in such a successful mode that he was able to be named the head coach, the interim tag removed. So he's talked a lot about, now putting that culture that he wants to establish on the program. Mike Houston, and it certainly didn't end very well for him, but, certainly he did a lot of things to instill cords of discipline, hard work, that sort of thing in the program, which it was sorely lacking after Scotty Montgomery's 3-year tenure. And I believe Blake Harrell's been able to build on that. I also think it is a much more player-friendly kind of program. He's more of a player's coach. And I think the players, as we saw near the end of the season, and then as we saw in the bowl game against NC State in the Military Bowl, that win up in Annapolis, the players responded to that.
5 weeks away, Patrick Johnson, for kickoff for ECU and NC State at Carter Finley Stadium. Patrick Johnson joining us from 94.3 The Game in Greenville. And with that short amount of time, the fact that there are some question marks when it comes to this offense, how key is it going to be for Katin Houser to get off to not just only a strong start, to be able to lead this club with some confidence?
Well, he views himself as a leader, and I think having John David Baker, the offensive coordinator, in for a second year, you have Houser that really did a nice job of grasping the offense. I had a conversation with Katin a couple of weeks ago, and he was not the starter last year. They got off to the slow start, and he winds up coming in to the Charlotte game, impresses, and winds up having a heck of a back nine of the 2024 season. So, with Houser, the fact that he can grasp what they're doing offensively, what they want to do as far as pace and schematically what JDB brings to this ECU offense, and that he does have some guys that are capable pass catchers. They have a bevy of running backs. The big question will be up front, what happens there. You'd have a lot of new faces, some transfers in, but this offensive scheme and sort of the Rich Rodish mode that it is run in, allows you to play at a pace where maybe the offensive line, if that's a deficiency, you can cover up some things there. I do think this. I think it was interesting in the bowl game, and Katin reminded me of this as we talked to him, the quarterback for the Pirates. He ran a lot more against NC State than he did at any point during the season. And I thought that was an interesting wrinkle. So I'll be curious to see how much of that might happen in Raleigh on the 28th of August, and how much of that may happen early on in the season.
One thing that certainly helps Caden Hauser coming into this season at East Carolina is the return of his offensive coordinator, John David Baker. I'm sure that provides some stability on the offense, but what does his relationship with Hauser look like this season? How do you see this offense evolving this year, Patrick?
Well, certainly I think, again, having the idea and the identity and the game plan of what you want to do is an important thing. And having this type of offense, which was so different from what they were doing before, to have familiarity, especially at the quarterback spot, to have some familiarity with a play caller that now – isn't having to use GPS to get around your city. I mean, he's sort of established more than a year in town, a year plus in town, a year and a half now. So, I think, again, it comes to what happens up front, because there's so many unknowns in that situation. And, you have a stable of running backs. Can you get it going? Can you get it established to run the football with some effectiveness? Because the run game, like it is for any quarterback, can certainly be his best friend.
And when it comes to the AC, again, I'm trying to get used to that, Patrick. When it comes to the AC, there's a lot of running involved. Memphis just got a transfer from Nevada in Brendan Lewis, who is a dual threat. Like, he ran more at Nevada. Nevada was an awful football team in college football last year, and he was kind of their only guy. But now he's at Memphis. You've got Navy, obviously, with Horvath and the second coming of whatever that second coming he might be. It feels like the AC depends on that mobility. Where I look at ECU and I see, what has to happen in terms of just getting to that pinnacle under Harrell and with Hauser. Is ECU almost going to be like the outlier when it comes to this conference and having a little bit more of a pass and running threat?
I to a degree, perhaps. Now, BYU's quarterback who left the program, Jake Retzlaff, has transferred into Tulane. So that obviously provides a dynamic for the Green Wave, who, by the way, about an hour and a half ago were picked by the media members in the American to win the league. Navy second, Memphis third. Pirates were picked seventh. And I think really that top 7, maybe 8, are the teams that you will see kind of vying for bowl games. And, I do think maybe you put UTSA in there, but certainly those top 3, Navy, Tulane, and Memphis, seem to be the 3 that will be battling for the right to play in the championship game in the first weekend in December. But I think what the offense does do, and we saw when it got rolling last year, guys, was it does give you something a little bit different. It spreads out the opposition, and it just gives a little more in the way of your quarterback getting rid of the football. It just seemed like quarterbacks over the last year and a half of the Mike Houston era, really, to a degree with Holt Nailers at times, maybe held onto the ball a little too long. This thing is so breakneck pace that it allows you to get down the field, and it's pretty rough on defenses.
Before I forget, I just want to mention that I love the decor of the mounted fish on the background for those watching on YouTube.
That.
You caught that yourself?
Yes. Caught it from a woodworking situation.
And your well-lit makeshift studio or living room studio, just absolutely great work by Patrick Johnson. My final question for you, Patrick Johnson of 94.3 The Game in Greenville. What does a successful first full season under Blake Harrell look like? Is this a team that should just expect to get back to a bowl game or maybe even challenge for the top of the American?
I think ideally you would want to be challenging for the top of the American. I mean, that would be the ideal success. I think where they are picked, again, it's in some respects similar to last year and similar to roughly where they finished, in that sort of middle echelon. I do think they could be an upper middle kind of team in the American. Again, you got to play the games. The schedule is quite interesting, especially with NC State coming up first. And, of course, you have BYU coming on a Saturday, and then you turn around after taking on BYU in your building, and you've got Army on a Thursday. Now, you don't have to travel, but it's, one of those home-and-home Saturday, Thursday things. 4 Thursday games. In fact, the month of October is pretty much going to be all Thursday matchups. So it's a really interesting schedule from that standpoint. but I think obviously success, you want to get back to a bowl game. But, I think like a lot of what Blake Harrell's been able to do and this program's been able to do, if they are able to get a victory on the first on opening night in Raleigh, boy, that'll go a long way towards Pirate fans feeling really, really good about themselves.
They might tear down the goalpost again.
It'd be the third time if they did. I don't think they will, but, I thought it was interesting, Graham. I can give you a lot of grief now that you're retiring from the biz and you're just a total fan now.
That's what you want to call it.
I can give you grief to your guy Double D there, Dave Dorn, all his comments yesterday. It's not a rivalry.
Okay,
it's not a rivalry, but it's he's teed off.
All right, yeah, I lied. This is my final question. I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know what head coach Dave Dorn was thinking last year when he was asked about the rivalry between NC State and East Carolina, and he said, well, I don't really consider it a rivalry when the schools are only separated by an hour and a half from each other and a highway pretty much. And then yesterday he just goes off about how not only does he not want to beat ECU, he wants to beat their you-know-what and blow them out. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But after you hear that, as an East Carolina fan, as somebody who covers the Pirates like you do, Patrick, what's the vibe around Greenville right now after hearing those comments?
All right, so I'm going to, obviously I understand what he was trying to say. The vibe part of this, to me, is it's fired up Pirate fans. They've taken it as an affront. Double D's,
we're going to war.
Him in Pirate Nation, as they refer to him in Pirate Nation, is not the most popular guy down there. Look, and you guys know this. I mean, this is really kind of a pressure-packed season for him in a lot of ways. I mean, that ECU loss has not sat well with some of the certainly the fan base and even the upper levels of the fan base, the donor class in Wolfpack Nation. And, familiarity breeds contempt. That's it's the big thing in this, and he's been around a minute. So, have they kind of topped out where they're going to be? We'll see. I don't know. Congratulations, Patrick. Graham. Great job today. You too, Paul.
Well, I'm the second.
You're too nice.
I sit second chair today.
Now you have to teach me how to fish so I can get one of those.
I don't do that. I don't know. I'm not the guy to teach you on that.
You told me you caught that fish behind you.
Yeah, from a lumber yard.
You know what? We will leave it at that. Patrick Johnson, appreciate you hanging out with us, friend.
All right. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Patrick Johnson, the Patrick Johnson Show, 94.3 The Game in Greenville. Great to have him hang out with us here on the Adam Gold Show. I was going to ask him a bunch of glitter questions because of the Little League Softball World Series shows up in Greenville every year, and I've been watching that on the screen here. And what I always find interesting is the sheer amount of glitter. And I'm wondering if they have to budget extra when it comes to having to clean up Greenville when the softball teams come rolling around. Joe Bryant from HighSchoolOT, HighSchoolOT.com, comprehensive coverage of high school sports throughout the state of North Carolina, now joining us in studio. And Joel, I just mentioned, Little League, Softball World Series, and we're transitioning now out of the summer into the fall sports again. And the best part, I think, about high school sports this time of year when it comes to football is the big jamborees. And I know you've got a couple of really great ones coming down the pike here.
Yeah, we have two this year. So HighSchoolOT's been doing the HighSchoolOT Jamboree for 15 years now. Actually, it would be 17. There was a couple of years we couldn't do it because of a little thing called the pandemic.
It was just a little thing.
Yeah, just a little thing like that. So we have the 15th HighSchoolOT Jamboree this year at Wake Forest High School, August 9th.
Okay.
Lots of great teams involved. It's going to be a great night.
2 weeks. So you say lots of great teams, but when it comes to this part, and they say, we're speaking to a statewide audience here, Joel, so when it comes to the triangle and whatnot, but this isn't just limited to triangle teams.
Correct, yeah. Roseville was in the state championship last year. They were in the 4A state championship. They're going to be a contender in 8A again this year. Cardinal Gibbons in 7A, they're a major contender for that state championship. Those are our two kind of headline teams, and Millbrook as well is also a big contender in 8A. And they're playing Southeast Raleigh, another 7A contender.
So, Joel, this is the first of a couple of jamborees. This one's at Wake Forest High, correct?
Yep.
So, Saturday, August the 9th.
Yep.
How many games?
So, it's 5 games.
5 games, all these great schools that you've seen. And you mentioned Rolesville and Cardinal. What are the consistencies you see with those teams that make them, either qualify for championships or contend every year that you can kind of go, yep, I see this is going to happen again, or maybe this isn't going to be their year?
So for Rolesville, it's just the talent level.
Okay.
Every single year, every single class, they have these guys. We were just at Rolesville this morning interviewing 3 guys who were ranked in the top 10 in the state for Rising Juniors. So they actually have 4 of those guys in the top 10 for Rising Juniors. So they just always have all this talent. And Gibbons, they have some talent too. Xavier Hassan, their defensive back, he's the number 1 player in the state right now for that class. But their coaching staff is one of the best in the state. They're so consistent. They're so disciplined. You don't see that team make mistakes any year. And that's why they're always so good.
So Jamboree at Wake Forest High School. If you're interested in going, Saturday, August the 9th, starting what, about 4
5 o'clock? 5 o'clock.
So 5 o'clock.
Yep. 5
games, quarters. How do the Jamborees work? Because I know it differs from state to state.
So we do it. It's 2 24-minute running clocks.
Okay.
We'll stop for injuries if that happens, of course. But there's 2 running clock halves. We play regular games, except for we don't have live kick situations, so teams will make extra points or kick extra points, but there won't be any rush for that. But besides that, everything's normal. And then I think when we get down to the 2-minute situation, there will be some stoppage there.
Okay, so for this first Jamboree, and I just mentioned to Joel Bryant from HighSchoolOT joining us again, HighSchoolOT.com, for those of you not familiar, with the most comprehensive high school sports coverage here in the state of North Carolina. Who are some of the kids that we're going to see in these Jamborees are going to come out? I mean, they're going to obviously this is a chance for coaches to get a few of the guys a little bit of playing time, a little bit of kind of live action and whatnot. But I'm assuming, because North Carolina is a hotbed for 5-stars, and we know this because of the recent recruiting battles that have happened, and unfortunately, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, call the baby ugly, that we've seen more of those 5-stars leave this state than stay in state.
In terms of college, yes. Yeah, so they're not really staying here in college. Faison Brandon is the big one right now. He's the quarterback out of Greensboro at Grimsley High School. He's the number 1 player in the country on 24/7 Sports. He's committed to Tennessee. A couple other guys in that class who are committed to Out-State as well. Usually those guys are that high up there, they're probably not going to stay here, but we have tons of 4-star kids. Rolesville has a 4-star kid named Xavion Griffin Haynes. He's committed to Carolina right now. He's an edge rusher, 6'6". They don't have many edge rushers who are 6'6".
You don't see many 6'6" anywhere.
Yeah, right, at anything. So that's a good one for UNC. A lot of the 4-star guys we're good at keeping, and this 2027 class that I referenced, this rising junior class, is so loaded in this area. I know the in-state schools are very hot in these kids right now.
Okay, so for this first Jamboree at Wake Forest High, Saturday, August the 9th, with a 5 o'clock start, who are some of the kids that you're going to keep your eye on, and obviously the scouts across this country have already laid their eyes on?
For NC State fans, at Millbrook, there's a linebacker named Quinn Cipher.
Okay.
He's 6'3". He has the Drake Thomas hair and kind of the Peyton Wilson kind of body type. So he's kind of a cross between those two. He is incredible. He's really good. He came in as a freshman making like 150 tackles immediately on varsity at the highest level of football in North Carolina, and he's just gotten better since then. He's just he's quite a talent. Quinn Cipher, the linebacker at Millbrook, and his teammate Rashad Streets, he's an edge rusher, 6'4". He has a very, very high ceiling as well. Both of those two are top 120 players in the country right now.
Okay,
and they're guys to watch.
Excellent. So HighSchoolOT Jamboree, that's at Wake Forest High School, Saturday, August the 9th. Who are the 10 teams coming to that? Because we're statewide here, so if you're interested in high school football, now's the time to get locked in on these teams. So read them slow and so people can absorb a little bit.
So Corinth Holders out of Johnson County is playing Southern Durham High School out of Durham County, of course. And we have 2 schools from the Sandhills. So Terry Sanford out of Fayetteville, they're playing Harnett Central. Both those teams are going to be really good this year, Paul. They bring back a lot from last year's playoff team. So we want to get them into this event. Obviously, Gibbons, Rolesville, we mentioned them. Wake Forest, the host school, is playing Middle Creek. Middle Creek had one of the best JV teams in the state last year. That's something I pay attention to.
Okay.
I'm a big JV football fan as well. They were just dominant last year. And, of course, the Southeast Raleigh Millbrook game is going to cap off that night.
That'll be a banger for sure. All right, so that's the first one. Joel Bryant of HighSchoolOT joining us, HighSchoolOT.com. We have a second event. So there was that's August 9th. You got to run this one back. I believe this is just the following weekend, correct?
Yeah, so that is on Saturday the 9th, and this Southeast Raleigh Bulldog Bash is on August 15th. It's the following Friday.
Okay, so Friday, August 15th.
Yes.
And just as big, same kind of start. What are we talking about?
So we have some pretty good teams in here. We don't have the same kind of upper echelon teams as we have in that other event, but this is our first year doing this one. Actually, this Jamboree started at Southeast Raleigh back in 2009. It was there from 2009 to 2013. It went to Cardinal Gibbons. Now it's at Wake Forest. So we decided to, if we're going to do a second one, we're going to bring it back to where it all started at Southeast Raleigh. And we have some pretty decent teams in this one. Jordan High School out of Durham, they have 19 starters back from last year's team, which won 10 games.
Okay.
And they're going to be playing Southeast Raleigh in that nightcap game.
So who do we got coming in for this one? This one a little bit more
Yep.
local flavor, right?
Yep. So it's Knightdale versus Cary, kind of two emerging teams there. Sanderson's playing Wilson Prep, which is a 1A school out in Wilson, but they're not a normal 1A school. They have lots of college level talent on that team for being such a small school. It's very interesting how talented they are. And Wake Forest is back for this one. They're playing Garner. That's kind of like a long-term rivalry there. Wake Forest versus Garner in Wake County. Then, of course, the Southeast Raleigh Jordan game to cap it off.
So that's the Bulldog Bash. That is Friday, August 15th, with 4 teams on a Friday. So this one going to start a little bit later so people can get off work, or?
Yep, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
Okay, 6 o'clock. And same bit in terms of like...
same rules. We're not going to have any quarterbacks being hit in this one because it's just a week closer to the regular season.
Well, nobody wants their signal callers smashed.
The quarterbacks aren't going to be live in this one, but it's still going to be very competitive.
Quarterbacks will be in bubble wrap in neon colors.
Yeah.
Joel Bryant, HighSchoolOT.com, running High School OT, obviously dialed into the high school football scene. So as we lean into the 2025 year here, Joel, and you see a lot of these teams emerging, who are the ones that people should probably be paying attention to now so they don't have to jump on a bandwagon later?
I think this 8A class is going to be very interesting. For those that don't know, we doubled our classifications this year from 4 to 8. So it's kind of a whole new world for us, realignment-wise, and new conferences. But 3 teams in 8A out in Charlotte, West Charlotte High School, they won the 3A state championship last year. They're 8A this year.
Okay.
Huff is their rival. Huff has beaten them like every single year, and Huff might have more talent than them. So it's going to be curious. I'm curious to see how they kind of compete at the 8A level. Then Mallard Creek, a lot of people know about Mallard Creek. They're in that same conference there. And that team won 3 straight state championships back in the early 2010s. They have a lot of talent in those younger classes. So those 3 schools out of Charlotte, Huff, West Charlotte, and Mallard Creek, I think we might see either Rolesville or Millbrook play them in the state championship.
Okay, so that's great news for those affiliates and the affiliates in Charlotte and listening to the Adam Gold Show here. Outside of that, do you have a dark horse or some of those teams that you're kind of like, you hope, maybe not necessarily pick a championship. Okay, let's not do that. But like some of those teams you're hoping that because they have the coach that you like and you're like, they're ready to take that next step and kind of this could be their year, maybe next year.
So with the new realignment, there's some teams out there. One I think of is Watauga out in Boone. So they were playing up in the 4A classification, so they're playing in the highest class, and they were playing against schools that were literally twice their size. You know, they don't have as many kids as those Charlotte schools have, but now they're down in a classification that's their size. They're in 6A right now. So programs like that, they have a real chance to kind of emerge this year to really get to that final game of the season. I'm going to be very fascinated to see kind of which teams kind of take this opportunity.
So how was that? Was that an intended consequence of this realignment? Was to get those schools back together, or is this just one of those weird bits where geography rules and whoever drew them up had a bourbon in their hand and had tremors?
Yeah. So realignment this time around, it's all enrollment.
Okay.
Last time we had a formula that kind of factored in other things like economic factors and past success, but this only went back to straight enrollment. There's a lot of coaches that weren't happy with their team kind of getting boosted up for having success or having frankly well-off kids, and they were playing schools that had just frankly more depth than they did on their roster. So a lot of coaches were upset with that. So we're kind of going back to just straight enrollment, and we're gonna see how it shakes out.
All right, High School OT, Joel Bryant. The 2 events Saturday, August the 9th. That's at 5 o'clock at Wake Forest High School, and then again another jamboree. So big high school jamborees throughout the state. This other one, this is Friday, August the 15th. The Bulldog Bash at Southeast Raleigh. Yep. And that is a 6 o'clock start for that one. It's great. Hey, Joel, thanks for hanging out with us today. Always good to get a download from you on high school sports.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, coming up next year on the Adam Gold Show, Paul Ihander in for Adam Gold today. We will stretch, and certainly you will take some advice from me, whether you like it or not, to place your bets for the weekend.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Your child's doctor shares your goals, a healthy future for your child. Doctors recommend vaccines throughout childhood because they protect what matters most. Your child's future from preventable disease and serious illness. Discuss any questions you have and check that your child is up to date and talk about any concerns. You're right to have questions. Get real answers. Start a conversation with your doctor today. Visit vaccinesforkids.nc.gov. Paid for by NCDHHS.
Make this your best summer yet by having fun while staying active and engaged. AARP can help. Find AARP events near you by visiting aarp.org/local. That's aarp.org/local to find both in-person and virtual events. You can also learn more about living your best life by listening to AARP Without Limits, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Ask any college student. If it wasn't for the last minute, lots of assignments wouldn't get done. So if you haven't figured out your plan for college and how to pay for it yet, don't worry, you've still got time. And with the next NC scholarship, you can still get money to pay for most or all of your tuition. To apply, just fill out your FAFSA and you could get $3,000 for community college or $5,000 for public university, and possibly more. See how easy it is to apply at nextncscholarship.org.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Each year, 3.6 million people in the U.S. delay or skip medical care altogether simply because they can't get to a healthcare provider. From long distances to unreliable public transit to the cost of a tank of gas, it all adds up. LaPonda Edmondson, president of the North Carolina Healthcare Foundation, joins me to talk about how their social impact program is making a difference in Robeson County.
We're investing $900,000 over the course of 3 years in Robeson County. Our aim there is to be able to support these projects that address transportation as a social driver of health.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Healthcare? Why?
Why is it so hard?
Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Really?
Really. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting all your benefits, prescriptions, and details on your computer and phone. Convinced?
No, but it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina, making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Did you know? Atlantic hurricane season runs through November. From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
My name is Gregory, and I am the primary caregiver for our 5 grandchildren. We have worked to be a source of love and stability in their lives, and Medicaid has been a source of stability for us. Medicaid helped with all the visits to the doctor, pharmacy, dentist, orthodontist, mental health therapist, and it has helped our grandchildren grow healthy and strong. Our grandkids call me Papa or Pop Pop, and I'm speaking up to protect NC Medicaid.
Learn more at ncchild.org/speakup. That's ncchild.org/speakup.
This is Adam Gold.
Steve Bettman take all that time to walk out, then to see the pic, bro hug no less than 20 guys on his way up there. And then this draft house, they just moved this wall like The Price is Right. I don't know.
It's a showcase showdown back there.
I know.
That would be great. So we should spin a wheel,
yeah,
right? Exactly.
The Adam Gold Show.
The simplest of minds. Paul Ihander with you today, in for Adam Gold on this Friday. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Graham Hill producing, making our music selections, and I approve of all of them so far, so let's see if we can continue that. It is time for us to dig in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and thems, a little 7th inning stretch.
For 7th inning stretch, I'm going to begin today with not the happiest of news, but
what?
It's been out there for 24 hours. But we got to give homage to one of the greatest professional wrestling icons of all time, and that is Hulk Hogan, of course. Yesterday it was announced that he had passed away at the age of 71, according to TMZ. Medics were dispatched to Hogan's Clearwater, Florida home early yesterday morning, with operators saying that it was due to cardiac arrest. WWE later confirmed the news of Hogan's death on social media, issuing the following statement. WWE is saddened to learn WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away. One of the pop culture's most recognizable figures, Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans. So with that being said, I just want to take a minute of your time, and also this being my last show, I can kind of control the producing side of things.
Okay.
So you have no choice. I want to take a moment to share just a little bit of play-by-play of one of the most iconic sports and cultural moments of all time, Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant as it belongs in the Sports Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So, Paul, with that just being said, when I'm fortunate enough to have kids one day, I'm not going to tell them that when there's thunder, it's Angels bowling. I'm going to tell them that it's Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant instead.
Every voice in that commentary and every athlete in that event, only Jesse the Body Ventura is still around from that moment. Gorilla Monsoon has passed. Andre, of course. Andre larger than life, just like Hulk Hogan, in movies, big iconic figure. Bobby the Brain Heenan, of course. And now Hulk Hogan. Okay, 71 years old, Hulk Hogan. Take your vitamins, say your prayers.
And also, if you have a chance, I would definitely tune in to the USA Network tonight at 8 o'clock when Friday Night SmackDown airs to see what sort of tribute they're going to put together. WWE does not hold back, nor should they, when it comes to honoring one of their fellow superstars that has passed away. The first game of the Bill Belichick in this area, it's going to be a spectacle in Chapel Hill with ESPN hosting a live pregame show and assigning its top college football broadcast team for the sold-out opener against TCU on September 1st. I don't know if College Game Day's ever done, besides the national championship game, of course, I don't know if they've ever done a Monday night show on site for a home game of a team.
In recent history, and I can't think of it either, even with college football's craze and whatnot. We have Thursdays and Fridays. They were at Duke just this past year. I mean, College Game Day basketball is always here in North Carolina, but for football, no, probably not. Not so much. It's college football at its finest. Whatever storylines that can be drawn before seasons, before things even get better or fall apart, I suppose you need to take advantage of them while they're white hot, and there is nothing more white hot right now than Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels football program.
Among the ESPN personalities that are going to be in Chapel Hill for the 1-hour live college football countdown are former Alabama coach and Belichick assistant Nick Saban, commentator Pat McAfee, and then we also have the top college football broadcast team of Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit, Davis on play-by-play, Herbstreit on color, and then Holly Rowe will be the sideline reporter. So they're going all out. And also there's a 1-hour national radio pregame show, which I'm sure we'll get the rights to since we're an ESPN affiliate. But, just what a crazy time that we're living in the Triangle.
All they need to do is have Ric Flair come out and go, woo! And to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, that man's Bill Belichick.
I do wonder who they're going to have as like the I don't know what they call it in Chapel Hill, but, NC State does the Alpha Wolf.
Right.
They have somebody at Carolina come out to start the Tar Heel. What if it was Rob Gronkowski?
Gronk?
There's my pick. There's my pick for the Alpha Heel, or whatever you want to call it.
Drink me.
The turned up Tar Heel.
Just make it drink me. Just make it drink me. What else you got? Are we done stretching or what?
We're done stretching.
All
it's
right.
time for me to lose people some money one last time.
Place your bets. Do ya? I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
Adam Gold Show. Paul Ihander in for Adam Gold today on this Friday. Graham Hill is here as well, and I suppose it is time to place bets. I'll go first since I'll take the honors since you're going to take off, so I'll let you have the last word on the betting action here. I've got a couple tonight bets because we're leading into the weekend, so I've got a couple tonights and a weekend bet as well. So we'll start tonight, and we'll start with baseball. And this is in honor of Victoria, who is not here. So this is a Cubs-White Sox bet. And the Cubs, it's, crosstown rivalry, I guess, well, not crosstown, north side, south side, essentially, when it comes to the Cubs and the White Sox. At the White Sox, Cubs are the away team tonight. And this is tonight, and Shota Imanaga is getting the start for the Cubbies. And I got him 6+ strikeouts against the White Sox, and that is a plus 124.
So in honor of Adam Gold, who's a big soccer fan, all of my bets are going to be soccer-related. Started off locally with a professional team in Charlotte.
Okay.
Charlotte FC taking on Toronto FC. You can actually listen to play-by-play coverage of this match tomorrow on The Fan at 7:30. Pre-match coverage starts at 7. Give me Charlotte FC minus 190. Apparently Toronto FC is not good. Charlotte FC is also coming off 3 consecutive wins.
Okay. I have that same matchup. That same match and that same, not the same bet though, Charlotte-Toronto, both FCs by the way, so Charlotte FC, Toronto FC. I have this one at over 2.5 goals. So it's funny you went with the money line straight up, pick Charlotte to win, pick the Crown to win. I'm expecting over 2.5. I should have went higher on this one to be fair for a lot of you, but I'm playing it a little bit safe. And this was either take the money line at minus 190 or take over 2.5 goals at minus 194. So I went with the over 2.5 goals, thinking that Toronto couldn't stop anything, even if they had parked a freight train in front of it.
Well, since this is my last time ever placing bets, I can get a little crazy here. I'm going to the UEFA Women's Euro final.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I'm going to try to correct the right score after 90 minutes. Give me England to be up 2-0. Plus 2,500.
England 2-0 plus 2,500.
2-0, yep.
That is bold. I think that's what this segment should be about. Bold
bets. The boldest of bets.
The boldest of bets. Unfortunately, my last one is not bold. It's minus money line, too, which is nuts. This one is tonight. This is WNBA action. I've been critical of WNBA since the inception because I do not like the leadership. I think the leadership is inept. But tonight it's the Las Vegas Aces taking on the Minnesota Lynx. And Asia Wilson, South Carolina Gamecock legend, to post a double-double at a minus 140.
My final bet comes directly from Mr. Gold himself. And I'm getting ready to butcher these names so bad, so apologies to any of the soccer fans listening that might get upset with me.
Okay.
We're going Royal Antwerp versus Union St. Gillisy.
You're just talking gibberish.
For a draw, plus 240 in the Belgian Pro League opener, 5th time hosting first from a year ago, straight from Adam Gold's text message.
That's funny. But take it, plus 240? Plus 240 for a draw? You don't want anyone to win? That's the only thing with soccer in the regular season. No one has to win. They just have to all feel good, right? Paul Ihander in for Adam Gold today. Graham Hill here as well. Stick around. We got more coming at your ear holes.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary, home of the original no closing cost mortgage. Are you ready to have your mind blown? You can save money when you buy a house or when you refinance a house just by not paying closing costs. That's right, just don't pay them. Go to Miller Lending and you won't have to. Banks, other lenders, either charge you closing costs, which thousands of dollars, or they roll those closing costs into the loan amount. You don't want that, by the way. And I just saw that rates ticked down just a hair. Maybe it's a sign of things to come. If so, don't pay closing costs ever and refinance free of charge when the rates come down. Save yourself thousands and then hundreds. I'm an 11-time customer. I would not steer you wrong. Miller Lending. On Kildare Farm Road in Cary since 1996. They are an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Here's how you know the Bill Belichick hype is through the roof. At ACC Media Kickoff, Dabo Swinney, one of the most popular, famous coaches in the country, was walking around giving interviews, and almost no one was following him. That's because every media member was up at Bill Belichick's press conference hoping for just a few seconds of audio from the UNC coach.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. It's the only place to see the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks, like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Megalodon, and more. It's big-time fun for the whole family. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Coming to Lenovo Center this weekend. Brought to you by BKT Tires, the original super glue in Texas Roadhouse. Lock in your seats today.
And we're back talking all things connectivity with Spectrum customers Kev and Melissa. So tell us, how long have you been with Spectrum, and how important is a reliable internet connection?
We've been Spectrum customers since we moved 12 years ago. The first thing we did is sign up for Spectrum Internet.
You get a lease, you get Wi-Fi.
Yes,
immediately.
We need that. We had Spectrum Wi-Fi before our couch got here.
That's true. That's a true story.
I'll sleep on the floor, but I won't go to bed with no internet.
You heard it here. Switch to Spectrum now.
Heineken Silver, world-class light beer with only 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. Why world-class? Because it has a crisp and superior taste. That's world-class. It has only 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. That's very world-class. So, if I'm seen drinking it, by association, am I world-class? Oh yeah, Heineken Silver, world-class light beer with only 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
The next disaster is coming. Make a plan. Keep extra medication on hand. Make copies of important documents. Stay informed and be ready. Learn more at americares.org/send-us-in.
Progressive's Teen Driver discount could lower the cost of insurance for your teenager and save you some money. And then you can still spend money on them. Because just when you think you have a grasp on spending, new sneakers. And then it's money for a school field trip. And of course, spending money. Oh yeah, and a new phone to replace the one they dropped in the toilet. Oh, don't remind me. So just get Progressive's Teen Driver discount. And then you can continue to spend money on them. Endlessly. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states and subject to terms and conditions.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it.
That one back, that one going, gone!
Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Social media is just like such a false perception of reality, and even for myself, like you don't always realize that at times, like it's not the real world. And when I show up to arenas, those are the moments that like really remind me of like how many people are really there supporting you and loving you. Like the little boys and the little girls, those are the people that are on social media, like caring about every decision you make or every comment you make. But also at the same time, I feel like I just try to show up every single day and be myself and approach it that way and just be authentically me.
Be authentically me. All right, I can do that. Adam Gold Show on this Friday. Paul Ihander in for Adam today. Thank you for inviting me into your offices and your bedrooms and your basements. And boy, that's getting weird real quick, isn't it? But Adam let me sit in today. Paul Ihander here. Graham Hill filling in for Victoria today. Say hello to the masses, Graham.
What up?
Okay, that'll work. That'll work too. Final hour of the program on this Friday afternoon. It's great to be with all of you again. We've had a really, really good time with the show. Had a few laughs. Haven't shed too many tears. But it is time to open it up a little bit with the Wall of Sound.
Nope.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right.
I have done this show too many times to get the Wall of Sound and show rewind mixed up. The buttons are right beside each other.
They are indeed. We are going to spend a little time with the Carolina Panthers here during the Wall of Sound. Some brand new, fresh audio from camp today on day 3. Dia tres. Adam Thielen speaking to the media. We are hearing from him for the first time since the big Minnesota trip and whatnot. He was asked about Dave Canales' growth. Yes, the golden retriever of the NFL coaching ranks, where he's seen Dave Canales grow as a head coach.
I think just confidence in his approach. I think as a new head coach, and I'm kind of speaking for him here, but as a new head coach, I think there's a little bit of like, I think this is what I want to do. This is my plan, and I'm going to trust it. But I think him coming to year 2, you can see him just like, all right, like, I know what I'm doing. I know what works, and I'm all in. And I think when you feel that as a player, you kind of feel the same way. Like, you feel the confidence coming off of him, of the schedule, of the philosophy, of what he wants out of players, and what is it going to take for you as a player to extend your career here, like what he's exactly looking for. You have a lot of confidence in knowing that I can just go and be myself and do exactly what they want. And so, again, it really comes down to just confidence in the approach, and we all feel that.
Confidence and approach. In a year 2 for a head coach, that's great. That's great to hear from a veteran wide receiver, former All-Pro, guy who's going to be honest, I kind of hope he's the 3rd option for Bryce Young when it comes to receiving, maybe even 4th. He's
got to be. The way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I see Xavier Legette being the top target. T-Mac, I don't know. They could throw T-Mac right into the deep end off the bat. I see T-Mac being more of a 3rd and long, and you got to go aggressive. You're chucking the ball up in the air and just hoping that he can go up there and make a play with his size.
50-50s. Big wingspan, guy who can go up, erase his mistakes. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Thielen, I see like 3rd and medium. Good slot receiver. Okay. That's what I want Thielen's role to be this year with the team.
Good possession. Yeah, we need a first down. Maybe that's the way it is. I don't need a home run hit. So Thielen is in a very crowded wide receiver room with the Carolina Panthers. That's a good thing to have, right? That's not something you just say a lot when it comes to being a follower of the Carolina Panthers. Whether you're a fan or not, you just look at the depth of this room, and it is solid. There's no doubt about it. So Thielen was asked about that depth, and especially about Jimmy Horn Jr. and the impression that he's made.
I just like his mindset from the day that he got here, even through these training camp practices, just his ability to want to learn, his ability to just want to be the very best player and teammate he can be. That's really what sticks out for me. I mean, obviously everybody knows what he can do athletically with the ball in his hands. So, he's a rookie, and he's a guy who has a great potential and future in this league. But I just love that his mindset's there from day one. That's not always the case. And usually when you look at guys that play a long time in this league, it's guys that want to be great, that want to do the little things, that want to ask questions, that are not like too good or too cool to kind of learn. So definitely impressed with his mindset.
Is there someone in the media corps that's pressing for Jimmy Horn Jr. to get a job? That feels like one of those questions that you would ask thinking, we have a crowded receiver room, and we pretty much know 4, maybe 5. So how do we get Jimmy Horn Jr. onto this team? Just something to ponder. Dave Canales, though, talked about that depth, talked about having 7 wide receivers on the roster. Here's Golden Retriever's answer.
Yeah, we got to see, again, those last couple of spots, whether it's in the secondary room or the wide receiver room, really comes down to who we can count on in special teams. We're big believers. That's part of the heart and soul of our philosophy of building this team is good football players. And those guys show up in the kicking game. They can cover and make tackles. They can play gunner. You can put them as returners. You can put them at PP, so it's the versatility of the skill players, tight ends included, who are the guys we can count on special teams. That's really what's going to make the decision, because again, you get one ball, you got about 3 wide receivers, sometimes 4 out there, so you're really playing with about 4 guys, and those 5th or 6th guys sometimes, it's hard to find those guys a role. It's the same thing in the secondary. So when they can play teams, you always got a helmet for them, because they're going to help us regardless, in our special teams in those units.
Which leads me back to the question about Jimmy Horn Jr. Because as a receiver, the room's pretty full of pass catchers. And as Dave Canales said, there's only one football to go around. So how do you make an impression on the coach? You do the small things. You put in the extra work and maybe make a tackle or 2 on special teams. Now, we're only 3 days into camp. 3 days in. Nothing's been decided. We haven't even played a game yet for anyone to get cut down. But if you're going to make your impact, that's how you're going to do it. And again, this is a blessing, not a curse. I want Dave Canales and Dan Morgan to have to figure it out. Like, who are we going to keep among the talent that's in that room? Because this hasn't been a problem in recent years at all. There's another new guy in the locker room, signed from the Raiders, Trayvon Merrick. Talked about how he's just fitting in defensively.
I feel like just being able to line up, at a bunch of different spots, and just being able to learn, different techniques and different coverages and how to play in those spots, and just the whole versatility, like I said, of the whole defense. So implementing that into the scheme, it's been really fun to be around.
Merrick has an interesting, I'm not sure dilemma's the right word for this, but he's going to play a very interesting role for this team because of how the secondary shapes up and how they're going to ask him to do a lot more things than he had to do with the Raiders. And the Raiders were a terrible team last year.
Yeah.
But they had him stunting and blitzing from the safety position and really moving around a lot. And he's going to be called to do on that, I think, a ton when it comes to this Carolina Panthers defense. And I'm not sure if there are fair comparisons to him. I think Jordan Poyer in his all-pro years with the Buffalo Bills kind of had that vibe. And I'm not sure if Poyer hooked up with anybody. I think he was in Miami for a year last year. Honey Badger, Matthew, who just retired, had that kind of fly-around ability, had to do a bunch of different things, could play coverage. But listen, I need you to lay some licks.
Well, J.C. Horn can't do it all, right?
He cannot do it all.
They're going to need all the help they can get in that the defense, is just going to need all the help they can get this year. But that secondary especially, guys will eventually know not to throw into the direction of J.C. Horn if they don't know it already.
And so we're bouncing around a little bit here, where Horn can't do it himself, but there's also a guy over there by the name of Chow Smith-Wade. Adam Thielen, who we had spoken to at the beginning of the segment, was asked about Chow Smith-Wade and how he's growing at the corner position.
It's confidence and physicality. He just brings a demeanor, a physicality, and a confidence that, is tough to go against. Those are the guys that are tough. Like when I think about some of the toughest corners that I played in my career, even just being on the outside, they were the guys that were just confident. You could see it in their eyes. You could see it in the way that they played the game, that they are just confident in their abilities. And when they're that confident, they have the ability to be patient and kind of let the game come to them. So that's what I'm seeing out of him, is just confidence and physicality.
Did the new Wake Forest head coach, Jake Dickert, have him at Washington State? I know they may have overlapped. He's a Washington State guy.
I think so, because I remember Tim Donnelly mentioning it during their interview.
I think he would be.
I could be 100% wrong, though.
He would be a good guy to pick the brain, I think, about Chow Smith-Wade, because he has to play bigger than his height. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not, knocking height because you can't control that as a human being. I'm like, we are what we are when we are fully formed and whatnot. But he is in probably one of the most high-pressure positions if he's going to start opposite Horn. Because Horn's gonna draw some number one assignments, no doubt about it. You're shutting that thing down. So if I can't get to my number one, I've got to go to the number two option, and that's the guy that Chow Smith-Wade's going to have to be blanketed over on a case. He's going to get tested this year. There's no doubt about it. All right, there's that wall of sound. We always enjoy running through that. Lots of things to chop up on this Friday. We have not done a very decent job or a fair job of talking about the Duke Blue Devils football team, but we are going to correct that issue coming up next with the voice of Duke football, David Shumate, joining us on the Adam Gold Show coming up.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Here's how you know the Bill Belichick hype is through the roof. At ACC Media Kickoff, Dabo Swinney, one of the most popular, famous coaches in the country, was walking around giving interviews, and almost no one was following him. That's because every media member was up at Bill Belichick's press conference hoping for just a few seconds of audio from the UNC coach.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, daydreamer. Did we catch you thinking about your dreams? With Wells Fargo Premier, a team can help you plan for them. So let's imagine your biggest dream. Not the easy one, the one behind it. The one you work towards every day and every night. Can you see it? Then we can help you plan for it. Ready to start planning for your dreams? You can at wellsfargo.com/getpremier.
At Bailey's, love not only sparkles, but it also gives back. Hi, I'm Marcy Bailey. Yes, we have high-quality certified diamonds that fit your budget. But did you know that when you say I do with an engagement ring from Bailey's, a donation is made to the food bank to help feed a local family of 4 for an entire month? Celebrate your love with Bailey's, where every diamond helps create a brighter future. Bailey's Fine Jewelry, voted the best place to buy your diamond.
Hey, it's Tim here for All-Star Dog Training. We all know Ripken, the legend, right? The best trained dog in the Triangle. You see him at Bulls games, you see him at state games grabbing the tee. What you may not know is Michael from All-Star Dog Training, the man behind the dog, has won awards like the Voters' Choice Award for Best Pet Training Service 8 years in a row, PBS Emmy Award, hundreds of 5-star reviews. Michael, what else have you done to garner this attention?
We try to help every dog in the Triangle. That's our goal, and I know Ripken will want every dog to be an all-star just like him, so that's why we came out with All-Star Dog Training.
All-Star Dog Training, it's a rebrand in honor of Ripken. What services do you offer?
At our 5,000 square foot facility in Apex, we offer private lessons, day train programs, puppy classes, and even board and trains. But always remember, we'll come to you too.
And it's the same training that not only helped Ripken be such a well-trained legend, but also his full-blooded brother, Champ, who's taken over?
Champ will be there this season for the Durham Bulls.
Same All-Star team, new All-Star name. Check them out at allstardogtraining.com.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do you get? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone, available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 bird dogs for just $5 or 2 bird dog combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Adam Gold.
We're going to have Seth on the show next week when he gets back from vacation. He was by a pool. What are you doing? Get off Twitter.
It's nicer to be on Twitter when you're by a pool anyway.
No, just stop. Stop engaging with people.
The Adam Gold Show.
Wow. You know, it's not quite baby-making music, but it is about memories and it is about returns, blissful returns. Adam Gold Show here on this Friday. Paul Ihander in for Adam Gold today. College football's back. It is returning with full force, and up until this point, we haven't spent enough time talking about the Duke Blue Devils football team outside of Manny Diaz, but we're about to right now. And joining us is the voice of the Duke Blue Devils, longtime friend of this program, David Shumate. Shu, thanks for hanging out with us today.
No, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
So, Shu, do you have your best polo pressed and your khakis ready to go? Because football starts here in 5 weeks, friend.
Oh, look, we were ready to go yesterday down at Media Days in Charlotte. As you said, you got to get all the polos right. You got to get everything lined up and stop wearing shorts, right? Even though it's 150 degrees outside, you got to start wearing the long pants again.
That is for sure. Duke going to open up against Elon August 28th, a Thursday night game, and then they have a pretty tough ride here. But what Duke is built on right now, Shu, with Manny Diaz, he always talks about the championship standard. And in year one for Duke, They tried to attain that standard and I think surprised a lot of people. And then the big bad head of the transfer portal and honestly just, studs graduating like a Jordan Moore and an Eli Pankel. Now you got to bring some new guys in. How challenging is it going to be for year 2 for Manny Diaz to keep that championship standard going and that momentum from year 1?
I don't think it'll be terribly challenging. I think it's largely due to how he began his tenure in Durham. And I think, we were talking this time a year ago, and I think a lot of people, to put it kindly, maybe had questions marks about what Duke's season was going to look like after Mike Elko had left to go to Texas A&M and all the pieces that maybe left in the portal. A lot of guys stayed. And, Manny Diaz came in and said very early it was about the players in the locker room and kind of preached this step-by-step mentality, day by day. He's not a big, slogan guy, that sort of thing. He's more about the work and getting to know the guys. And then, of course, you go out and have the season they did a year ago, and now you're kind of in the bucket where Duke is one of the teams, certainly down in Charlotte, but also nationally it's getting talked about. Some of that I'm sure we're going to talk about Darian Mensah, but also everything they return on the defensive side of the football and along the offensive line. Expectations are starting to creep up. And I think for him, he's been very consistent in saying the mentality has to still be the same. Like Duke won 9 games last year because of a process and step-by-step and continual improvement. And you have to have that when you have expectations as well, because if you get over your skis in terms of what people anticipate of you, you can, trip up at any given moment. So I think that day-by-day approach that they have and the belief he instilled in this team and the confidence he instilled a year ago should pay dividends going into this season, even though, as I said, I think the expectations have been raised a little bit.
David Shumate, Duke football play-by-play commentator at Duke PB on X. Join us on the Adam Gold Show, and you led me perfectly into my next question, which was about Darian Mensah. This offseason, they land him from Tulane, that $8 million NIL deal. From your perspective in the booth, David, how big of a shift is that both on the field but also in broadcast anticipation of what Mensah is going to look like on the field this season?
I mean, what he did at Tulane, the numbers kind of speak for themselves, and I guess I'll take the first part of your question first. The on-the-field stuff is obvious, right? I mean, Malik Murphy was a really good quarterback for Duke, had a cannon for an arm, but obviously was limited in terms of his ability to be a part of the quarterback run game. That just wasn't a part of the system last year for Duke. And if you talk to the offensive line I have the last few weeks, the run game really wasn't where they wanted it to be. It was, to say pass heavy, maybe underselling it, and had the long ball work, but Duke did have a hard time last year sustaining drives. And I know they want to get the run game going this year. That's tricky, right, when you don't have the quarterback as a part of the run game. So that's the first thing that Mensah brings to the table. Not that his rushing statistics at Tulane were crazy, but when you watch his mobility, his ability to throw on the run, got to see a little bit of it in spring, looking forward to see it in camp when they get going on Monday. So that ability to move with his legs, and Coach Diaz likes to talk about the fact that it forces the defense to defend 2 plays, right? The play that was called, and then when you scramble, there's another play you got to defend, which is so stressful for a defense. And, that to me is going to be the interesting thing to watch with Mensah and what he brings to this. And then there's the cultural fit that he brings in as well. I mean, Tulane is known for its academic standing, and I think high academics were important to him, and one of the reasons he chose to continue his playing career here at Duke. So there's the cultural fit in the locker room. I had a chance to spend a little bit of time with him, and you can see how he fits in with this group really well. So I'm excited to see what he brings this year, and I think you can feel that hype that you were talking about building in the fan base as well, because Mensah was one of the crown jewels in the portal, so to speak, when it came to quarterbacks or, heck, any player out there. So for Duke to get him, I think is no small thing, and leads a lot of people to think that Duke can do special things this season.
David Shumate joining us, voice of the Duke Blue Devils football and basketball as well here on the Adam Gold Show. I'm assuming that Jaquez Moore would never like to hear the word boot or foot ever again associated with each other unless he's riding a horse. Clearly they missed his presence last year in the rushing game, as you mentioned. We're all going to assume he's healthy, ready to go, and he might be on a mission this season to surpass the 2023 totals when he had to share a backfield and now just kind of tote the mail on his own.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sign of the times, right? I think back to 2023, Jordan Waters was the lead back. Obviously, he played NC State a year ago, and Jaquez Moore was just coming into his own. Last year, he was supposed to be the lead back, gets dinged up early in a game up against Northwestern, comes back literally for one snap against Carolina, dings up something else, and doesn't really play the entirety of the season. Star Thomas was really good, a transfer that came in. He's now gone. Peyton Jones is back, so they feel good about where the running back room is, and a lot of that is because of Jacquez Moore. And, you don't want guys to go through injuries, but when you talk to all of them, and there's been a couple on this roster for Duke, I mean, you think about Nick Morris, who was supposed to be the starting Mike linebacker a year ago, gets hurt early, plays one game, doesn't play the rest of the season. The tight end room was decimated. Nicky Dalmolin's no longer here, but Jeremiah Hazley is working his way back. He got hurt in that Northwestern game as well, a season-ending injury. All those guys talk candidly about the perspective you learn in that process, right? Where you're out of practice, you're rehabbing, but you're not able to play, and the value it teaches you for the game, because some of these guys, these are some of the first season-ending injuries they're dealing with, and the patience you learn from that, but also the life experience that comes with that. So I'm really interested to see what not just Jacquez, but some of those other guys I mentioned do this year, because of that new perspective, that not newfound love for the game, but you know what I mean? When something's taken away from you, you feel like it's always going to be there. You appreciate a little bit more, and the work becomes a little bit more intentional. And as I mentioned, the run game last year, there were some struggles, but Jacquez not being there was a huge part of that. I think that's something they're hoping to lean on this year.
Final question for David Shumate, voice of the Blue Devils, join us this afternoon on the Adam Gold Show. You brought up the word culture in one of your previous answers, and I found it ironic how Manny Diaz yesterday at ACC Kickoff talked about how the players set the expectations at Duke. So, David, as someone who's close to this program more than anybody else, what is it about Diaz's message, or what is it about the bond of this team that has players so bought in and just ready to compete and believe in this program each and every year?
I think what it is candor. I mean, you mentioned that. He actually was, when he was at the podium yesterday down in Charlotte, made a joke about, and you guys probably know because you've been hearing him talking to everybody, that like you hear the word culture at media days, it's like scratch it off your bingo card, right? That's like everyone's favorite word. And I said over the top, he's not big into slogans and things like that. He is big into honesty, and that the culture is driven by the players. And you think about what has been done here at Duke in these last 4 years now, as he goes into his second season. A lot of these guys in the redshirt senior seasons that have been here a while, they were recruited by David Cutcliffe. And people think that's a lifetime ago, but that was only 4 years ago that he was, the coach here at Duke. And obviously Mike Elko was here for 2 years, and he brought in some guys. But these are guys that have been through a couple different coaching staffs, several different schematic changes, have been through the wars a little bit, but they've been the common thread of the turnaround that was authored, but also now the fact that Duke is getting that national attention, and talk about one of the teams that could maybe get to Charlotte for an ACC tournament title game. And that is what Manny Diaz instills in them, this honesty that you are in control of this. And with that comes ownership, with that comes confidence, but also with that comes accountability. And I think, with the caliber of kids that we have at Duke and young men, they appreciate that level of honesty, that level of candor, and they work that much harder when they feel like they have some ownership of it, that it's not being dictated from on high. And I think Manny Diaz has a great feel for that.
He's ready to pull the polo out of the plastic and smell a new college football season. David Shumate, voice of the Blue Devils. Shu, always great to catch up with you, friend.
Yeah, and before I go, I know, Graham, your time is winding down there. You've always been the best. Appreciate you having me on, and good luck to you, brother. But you guys have a great weekend.
You're too kind, David. I really appreciate the kind words, and appreciate you letting me get coffee with you one afternoon, just get to pick your brain about not just the business of play-by-play, but also just the business of sports radio in general. So really appreciate the mentorship.
No, for sure. Anytime. See you, fellas.
Thanks. David Shumate, voice of the Duke Blue Devils here on the Adam Gold Show. If you are a professional football fan, you will not want to miss our next conversation. Stick around.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
I had questions about my child's vaccines, so I got real answers from her doctor because we share the same goal, keeping her healthy and strong. Her doctor told me that keeping up with childhood vaccines, getting them at the recommended ages and sometimes together, is a proven way to protect her from serious illnesses, ones that can be prevented with vaccines. Have questions? Get real answers. Talk to your doctor. Visit vaccinesforkids.nc.gov. Paid for by NCDHHS.
Make this your best summer yet by having fun while staying active and engaged. AARP can help. Find AARP events near you by visiting aarp.org/local. That's aarp.org/local to find both in-person and virtual events. You can also learn more about living your best life by listening to AARP Without Limits, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Ask any college student. If it wasn't for the last minute, lots of assignments wouldn't get done. So if you haven't figured out your plan for college and how to pay for it yet, don't worry, you've still got time. And with the next NC scholarship, you can still get money to pay for most or all of your tuition. To apply, just fill out your FAFSA and you could get $3,000 for community college or $5,000 for public university, and possibly more. See how easy it is to apply at nextncscholarship.org.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Each year, 3.6 million people in the U.S. delay or skip medical care altogether simply because they can't get to a healthcare provider. From long distances to unreliable public transit to the cost of a tank of gas, it all adds up. LaPonda Edmondson, president of the North Carolina Healthcare Foundation, joins me to talk about how their social impact program is making a difference in Robeson County.
We're investing $900,000 over the course of 3 years in Robeson County. Our aim there is to be able to support these projects that address transportation as a social driver of health.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Healthcare? Why?
Why is it so hard?
Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Really?
Really. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting all your benefits, prescriptions, and details on your computer and phone. Convinced?
No, but it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina, making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Did you know? Atlantic hurricane season runs through November. From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
My name is Gregory, and I am the primary caregiver for our 5 grandchildren. We have worked to be a source of love and stability in their lives, and Medicaid has been a source of stability for us. Medicaid helped with all the visits to the doctor, pharmacy, dentist, orthodontist, mental health therapist, and it has helped our grandchildren grow healthy and strong. Our grandkids call me Papa or Pop Pop, and I'm speaking up to protect NC Medicaid.
Learn more at ncchild.org/speakup. That's ncchild.org/speakup.
One Adam Gold. One Adam Gold.
Is he married to a person or just himself? Because I feel like that's very Aaron Rodgery of him to have the twist in there.
It's a very good question.
So, I don't know. We still don't know if it's a person.
Would he get down on one knee to ask himself over an ayahuasca?
Yes.
The Adam Gold Show.
Is this the Fast and Furious John Cena, or is this the WWF, WWE attitude John Cena? Whatever it is, if you're a professional wrestling fan, you will not want to miss our next conversation. Adam Gold Show on this Friday. Paul Ihander in for Adam today. Appreciate that as always. Graham Hill is here as well. We had a chance earlier this week to talk with Chris Van Fleet, host of Insight with Chris Van Fleet, big content guy when it comes to professional wrestling, has done probably in the last couple of years some of the most creative and honestly interesting sit-downs with professional wrestlers all around the world. And he gets access to them, and they give him some real clean and honest answers, so we decided to pick his brain. Now, I set that up by saying we talked with him a couple of days ago. This came before we got the news of Hulk Hogan's passing, so we did not ignore the fact that Hulk Hogan had passed away at the age of 71. It just wasn't in time for this interview. So without any more pause, Graham and myself with Chris Van Fleet. Adam Gold Show, Paul Ihander filling in for Adam Gold today. Graham Hill here as well, and we are joined by our guest. I guess we could call him YouTuber personality extraordinaire because he interviews more than just wrestlers. He interviews entertainers as well, but he has his roots in radio and television, which is fantastic because it's all one and the same right now. Chris Van Vliet joins us. Chris, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, radio is my first job ever and my first love, so it's always great to spend some time on the airwaves.
But not bass fishing, right? You didn't put. I didn't put bass fishing in that, but I know you're a bass fisherman too. I think you'd love it right here.
Thank you for including that. And I'm not doing nearly enough bass fishing these days, but that's something I need to do more of.
Chris Van Fleet, Insight with Chris Van Fleet, joined us this morning on the Adam Gold Show. Graham Hill, Paul Ihander sitting in for Adam this morning. Before we dive into pro wrestling, which is what you're most known for, I just have a personal question for you, Chris. Again, as Paul mentioned, you got started in radio, and you've interviewed a handful of celebrities and movie stars, including Anne Hathaway, who was very flattered by some of your questions that you asked her. But what was it about professional wrestling and getting into this market and interviewing these guys that made you so comfortable and made you decide, this is where I really want to take my career to?
Well, look, I've always been a pro wrestling fan. This dates back to the heart of the Attitude Era. That's when I really became a massive wrestling fan. So we're talking like late 90s. Stone Cold Vince McMahon, their rivalry was the thing that really got me into wrestling. But I worked my entire career as a TV host and entertainment reporter. And through that, you're talking to anyone that falls under that umbrella of entertainment. So actors, comedians, directors, musicians, and wrestling as well. So whenever WWE or TNA would come to town, I would try to work away, finagle my way to be able to talk to some of my childhood heroes. That's where this whole thing began. So like it was once or twice a year whenever they would come to town. And you guys know a lot of the typical wrestling interviews are like, hey, tickets start at whatever, $30, and you can come see the show this Friday at SmackDown. I would ask these like deep questions about like, all right, I really want to ask you about like King of the Ring 1998. And they'd be like, hold on a second. Like, you know your stuff. That's where this thing began. And just through the model of like how radio and television works, like if you're not listening to this thing exactly right now, this is how it used to work, you would never see it. And I just thought there's got to be other fans of whoever I was interviewing, whether it was Mick Foley or Jeff Hardy or The Rock or whoever these legends were. Unless you were watching TV at that exact time and watching that exact channel, you wouldn't see it. So I just started throwing these interviews with these wrestling personalities online and just hoping that other fans across the world would see them. That's where this all began. And now it's taken on an entire life of its own.
Well, Chris, and it's great. And you're an interviewer and we're interviewers and whatnot. And we're giving you the chance to flex some opinion just a little bit here as we chat with you because you are a wrestling aficionado. You're such a fan. Give it a school grade for me. How well or how poorly do you think the John Cena farewell tour has gone so far?
So here's the thing. I don't think we're going to be able to grade the John Cena retirement tour until it's done. I think we actually need to be able to zoom out and see this thing as an entire work of art before we can assign a grade to it. Like right now, we're like an hour and 4 minutes into a movie and you're asking the person sitting next to you, well, what do you think of this thing? And they're going, oh, hold on, let's wait to see how this thing ends. I've just been enjoying the fact that we didn't see a heel turn coming. And if John Cena turns heel at SummerSlam or turns babyface at SummerSlam, which is what a lot of people were guessing might happen, that'll mean he spent almost exactly half of this retirement tour as a heel. So I love that John Cena could have taken the easy way out. He could have played the greatest hits from January to December. He could have just gone out there and did his thing and then called it a career in December. Instead, he took a chance and he did something that he's never done before and he turned heel. And we're seeing him being able to flex a lot of these muscles he's never flexed before. And I love that we're given that opportunity as fans. It's interesting because we still want to cheer him. Like he's a heel. We're supposed to be booing him because he's a bad guy, but we want to cheer him because it's John Cena. This is the last time we're seeing him in our town.
We're speaking with Chris Van Fleet, Insight with Chris Van Fleet on the Adam Gold Show. Pro wrestling sports fan aficionado. If you love pro wrestling, you got to check out his podcast, staying on the John Cena farewell tour, 14 dates remaining. Unfortunately, Raleigh's not one of them, but that's a whole nother story in itself. It's okay. I'll forgive him. But 17 world championships is one thing. Breaking Ric Flair's record. Obviously, the moment at WrestleMania when he defeats Cody Rhodes is huge. But is there still a big moment that we're missing out on John Cena's farewell tour before it comes to an end in December that you'd like to see?
So I wonder how many more matches we're going to get. Like you said, 14 more dates. Some of those are just appearances to set up other shows. If we're looking at his track record so far, he's been wrestling at every single PLE, every single premium live event. So we've got like 5-ish matches remaining, 5, maybe 6. So we know it's Cody Rhodes and that street fight at SummerSlam. Who are the other 4 or 5 opponents after that? And I think that one of the big ones, and it hasn't been talked about yet, is, are we going to see a match with Roman Reigns? And what's next for Roman Reigns after SummerSlam? So I'm very curious if they go there. I feel like he's already kind of crossed off the names that we all thought at the start of the year he was going to wrestle. Like, we've already seen the match with Cody Rhodes, and we're going to see it again here at SummerSlam. We've already seen the CM Punk match. We've already seen the Randy Orton match. They made it very clear that the Randy and CM Punk matches were one last time. So we're not going to see that again. But I think that there's probably Roman Reigns. There's a real story with AJ Styles, and they had such an incredible feud almost 10 years ago. AJ Styles became the face that runs the place. That's another one that comes to mind. But then does it leave an opportunity for him to work with a younger talent? Is he going to have a match with maybe like a Braun Breaker or a Gunther or someone else who's only maybe a few years into WWE? That's something I would love to see. But again, with every match that he has, that's one match closer to him being retired. So I'm really curious how all of this goes. And the big question, I think, is like, who's the final opponent? And there's like a handful of names on there, but I don't, as we sit here right now, I don't know who it's going to be.
Chris Van Vliet joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Paul Ihander and Graham Hill here with Chris. And Chris, you had the chance to interview Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross may have some momentum, and you can call me wrong on this one. Are we on the brink of perhaps another kind of Kofi Mania moment with him if they can build him correctly?
Well, they've got to listen to the crowd. And every single time Karrion Kross goes out there, whether it's for a 30-second promo or it's a match on main event, the crowd is going bonkers for him. And I think we've seen so many opportunities in the past where WWE has listened to the crowd. I mean, I think R-Truth getting released and then brought back in the same week's a really good example of that. But I think that they need to listen here. And I think that they need to do something with Karrion Kross more so than what they're doing right now. And I think that him getting that match at Night of Champions was a step in the right direction. But like, it's what's next? Like, what's next from here? And I think that he has all of the tools to be in that main event scene. It's just a matter of time, though, and being given the right opportunity.
Chris, a gimmick right now that I just cannot get over, and I've heard you talk about this a couple of times on Insight with CBV, and also you've been asked about it on Ask CBV, is the El Grande Americano gimmick right now. I think it's one of the best and most funny things that WWE has going for them right now. Just your thoughts on how they came about with this, and also how they're running with it right now with the whole Chad Gable injury, and then he's still popping back up on weekly programming or on Raw each and every week.
What I think so interesting about it is you can't think of El Grande Americano without thinking of Chad Gable. And as we know, Chad Gable is out right now. He just had a shoulder surgery, obviously wishing him a speedy recovery there. But the fact that El Grande Americano looks a little different now, looks a little taller, seems very fluent in Spanish now. I think it's so funny. Like, I think that wrestling is at its best when it can run the entire gamut of different emotions, when it can make us laugh, when it can make us cry, when it can make us like sit on the edge of our seat and want to know what's next. And I think that what's going on with this El Grande Americano thing, and is it one person? Is it two people? Could next week it be someone like, I don't know, like Ivy Nile wearing that mask? I love this. And I love that wrestling can be a little bit ridiculous. I just wonder what the payoff is going to be here. Like, is the payoff going to be Chad Gable comes back and interrupts an El Grande Americano match, and everybody who said, man, El Grande Americano was Chad Gable? Well, now you got some explaining to do. Like, and does that set up a match between Chad Gable and El Grande Americano, which would, I think, just be so funny if that was what the payoff was here. But I'm invested. I'm invested every single week trying to figure out, like, where does it go from here?
Chris Van Vliet joining us. Adam Gold Show, Paul Ihander, and Graham Hill with you. I want to talk about women's wrestling a little bit. And it feels like we're in this unusual transition of trying to pay off almost like you've been here long enough, let's give you a belt and see where it goes. Or you've already had the belt and you don't need it anymore. Who really needs gold at this point to give them that next step? Because Rhea Ripley clearly doesn't need gold anymore, even though she's in that grand chase. Io Sky really doesn't need gold anymore, and because people love her. So who needs to grab those reins once again? Does Asuka need another run with the belt so we can all go, Asuka's going to kill you again?
Asuka's incredible. I would love to see another run with Asuka. I think what they're building with Rhea Ripley here is they're building to Crown Jewel in Perth, and I would be shocked if she's not part of the main event there. Even if she doesn't win the championship there, she's got to be part of that conversation. I think it's a matter of when it happens, not if it happens. When is Chelsea Green going to be the world champion? Like, she is so insanely talented. She did such amazing work with the U.S. championship. And I love that she's that type of character that doesn't need a championship to raise her up to that next level. But my goodness, she is so entertaining. And when she's on the screen, you can't help but you can't look away. She's so, so good. So if we're talking about who should be world champion next or who hasn't won it that needs to win it, Chelsea Green is my pick.
Chris, of course, we are just a week away from SummerSlam, the biggest event of the summer, the next PLE on the calendar, August 2nd, August 3rd from MetLife Stadium. What's your current impressions of the match card? Are there any matches in particular that you're really looking forward to or you think could steal the show?
So I'm a little surprised that we're running Cody Rhodes versus John Cena back again, unless the reason is for Cody Rhodes to win this match and Cody Rhodes to win his championship back. I would have to think that that's how this goes. The fact that that is now a street fight makes me go, ooh, I think we might see a little bit of funny business in here. Why else would they make this a street fight unless it allows for run-ins to happen here? So that's a match I'm very interested to see where this goes. I don't think that John Cena retires as a heel. So is this the chance for John Cena to turn babyface? There's been a lot of heel tendencies from Cody Rhodes here. Do we see a double turn? That's something I'm really interested in. But the match that I'm like, I have all eyes on and I can't wait for is AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. And I think that because AJ is so, so good, he's one of the greatest of all time, him going in there, I think gives Dominic Mysterio the potential to have his best match ever. And I don't know if AJ Styles needs to win this. I don't know if AJ Styles needs any more championships because his legacy is already cemented, but that match is going to be absolutely incredible. And I think has the potential not just to steal that night, but to steal the entire weekend.
Yeah, he is truly phenomenal for sure. Love me some AJ Styles. Hey, I want to ask you, Chris, and circle all the way back to when we first started here and talking about interviewing and the people that you've talked to and bringing out some different questions and things like that. If you could run it back and you started your these interviews and YouTube was a thing many decades ago, is there a wrestler, and I want you to think about this very carefully, is there a professional wrestler that you would have loved to talk to in their true prime, running back through wrestling history?
Yes, and unfortunately, I'll never get the chance to talk to him, but Eddie Guerrero is at the top of that list. And there's no such thing as a bad Eddie Guerrero match. And could you imagine if we had the opportunity in early 2000s, mid 2000s, to sit down with Eddie and just pick his brain about everything, not just the stuff he was doing in WWE, but the stuff he had done in WCW before that. When you think of that Halloween Havoc match in 1997 between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, this is one of the best matches in WCW history. It's also one of the best matches just in wrestling, period. So Eddie Guerrero will always be that name for me of he was taken from us far too soon. And I wish that I had the chance to be able to speak with him.
Final question for Chris Van Vliet, Insight with Chris Van Vliet. You can check it out wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Also follow him at Chris Van Vliet on X. If you're a wrestling fan, if you're not doing it already, I don't know what to tell you. It was announced just last week, Chris, that Monday Night Raw is returning to Lenovo Center right here in Raleigh, September 29th. And since we are a sports radio show, we mostly cover the Carolina Hurricanes, Carolina Panthers. But for any casual wrestling fan or even a diehard wrestling fan that's getting ready to attend a live show for the very first time, what advice would you offer them?
Well, look, there's nothing like going to see pro wrestling live. Like, it does not compare to any other sport. Like, it's its own category of entertainment. So if you're free that night, if you have the ability to grab tickets, you should absolutely grab tickets. I will also say this. John Cena has 14 dates left. 11 of those have been announced. I'm not saying it's going to happen, okay? Don't misquote me here. What I'm saying is a possibility. And John Cena has 3 question marks on that tour. Maybe John Cena shows up. Again, please do not quote me. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. But there's something about being there live, especially if you've never seen wrestling live in person, if you've never been in there for the arena, like in the arena for like the live event, it's just unbelievable. It's something that it can't even really be explained. The energy in there is crazy. So if you're free, if you're available to go, you should go, and maybe John Cena will show up.
I would certainly love
Probably
that.
not, but maybe.
Since I'm planning on going.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, we couldn't see him anyways, even if he did decide to show up.
Maybe he'll be there, and you can't see him.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Renaissance man, radio, TV, YouTube, wrestling, and bass fisherman, and Canadian. Good Canadian man, Chris Van Fleet.
Thank you.
I appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Oh, thank you guys so much. So fun to chat with you.
Adam Gold Show with Chris Van Fleet. Appreciate him taking the time with us again. For those of you joining us, Paul Ihander in for Adam today. Graham Hill is filling in for Victoria. That interview did not have a lot of mentions of Hulk Hogan because we had pre-taped that a couple of days ago, unfortunately, prior to Terry Bollea was his real name, Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, prior to his death at the age of 71. So we didn't really get to pick Chris's brain on that one. Of course, we'd love just to call him back up and go, hey, dude, can we do that one again? But unfortunately, that's not how it always works. All right, time to rewind. Off the top of the show, we had a chance to talk with Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour and asked him, and he was making his first comments about the signing of Jackson Blake. Jackson Blake for the Carolina Hurricanes late Thursday night signed an 8-year contract. This will go into effect after his rookie deal is up, which is the 2026-27 season, in which he's going to earn between about $5.1, $5.6 million. There's some deferred money that has been reported out there, but it does, regardless of the cash, lock down one of the key youth members of this Carolina Hurricanes team for a guy that was questionable to crack the opening night roster. All of a sudden, he is now in this team's long-term plans, and we asked head coach Rod Brind'Amour about that, among other things. On Thursday night, you were probably finishing off your last few Timbits, just thinking to yourself, maybe we'll get some work done tonight, get ready for a long weekend, and then all of a sudden, we get an 8-year contract extension for Jackson Blake. Just your initial thoughts about making sure that he's part of the core of this team for the upcoming future.
Well, I think that you just said it. I mean, it's, you identify players that, number one, are talented and good hockey players, but then we want guys that, I say do it right, have just a great character and hardworking kids. And when you find them, you want to keep them as long as you can. And I think that's kind of what we've done here. And I think we all agree, there's a lot of talent there. I know he's only played a year, but I think it's pretty evident that it's going to be a good bet for both sides, and going to be happy to have him around for a long time.
Rod Brind'Amour, Carolina Hurricanes head coach, joined us this morning on the Adam Gold Show. Paul Ihander and Graham Hill filling in for Adam. And Coach Brind'Amour, I'm starting to notice a trend during your tenure as the head coach. And again, this is all a part of the front office, but after certain players, young players, have these breakout seasons, like an Andrei Svechnikov, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Seth Jarvis, now Jackson Blake, you guys like to go ahead and lock them up long term. What is it about recognizing talent right away and realizing that you want these guys to stick around on your team?
Yeah, I think it's most of those guys you mentioned is pretty obvious to see, but I think it's the other part. I think it's when you invest in those kind of players, you're investing in people, and whether they ever actually reach that full potential, whether or not, you're still okay with them because you know what they bring in the room and what kind of people they are and the work ethic and all that stuff. So I think we've done a real good job identifying that. And like I said, when you you know you like somebody and know it's a great fit, you want to make sure you can try to keep them around as long as possible.
So thanks to Eric Tolsky for letting ACC football kickoff and Panthers training camp get started. And thanks to Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour for talking with us about the re-signing of Jackson Blake and making sure that he's locked down with the Carolina Hurricanes for 8 more seasons once his rookie deal is up. Again, that's a roughly $5 to $5.5 million a year that he'll be making starting in the 2026-27 season, and locks up the Carolina Hurricanes core for sure as they move forward. So even though it's pseudo the offseason, we're just under 60 days away from preseason hockey. We are less than a week away from the first NFL Hall of Fame game, and we are roughly about a month and change away from our first counting college football games here in North Carolina and across the country. It's truly an exciting time. But also right now, a little bit bittersweet of a time for us right now here at the Adam Gold Show, and I know I'm filling in for Adam today. Paul Ihander here. Graham Hill is saying goodbye to us. This is his last turn with the Adam Gold Show. He is pursuing some other career interests and writing a new chapter in his life, and I think for those of us involved in the program, I know Adam's not here, but he did say goodbye to you yesterday, Graham, and I know Victoria's not here, but I know you've also shared a moment with her, and those are the others who are involved with this program behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. We all want to say thank you, and we all want to wish you the best.
Well, I just want to thank everybody at the office of 999 The Fan and for the gift cards that were given to me as a gift. Paul, I know that you and I, you came in shortly after I had started here about 2 years ago when you took over as program director, but in the last 17 months, we've really gotten close producing Next Up in the Morning from 9 to 10, and I just want to say thank you for that opportunity to allow me to produce that show, but also kind of give me a little bit of a co-hosting role. And I know I did some fill-in work whenever you'd be out on vacation, but because of you, you took me from just being a producer that was just used to pressing buttons and helping me grow more as an on-air talent, and along with Adam Gold when I would fill in from him, being a part of a program like this, the statewide affiliate, and just having the chance to not only hear my voice heard in Raleigh, Durham, the Triangle area, but along with affiliates in Charlotte, Asheville, Greenville, my native land down there, and Kent's in the 252. Just really appreciate it for everything, and I've just gotten the chance to live out a childhood dream for the past 3 years, and it is bittersweet, but I'm very happy that I'm going to be able to stay in the Triangle, and I'll be able to still go to NC State, Duke, Carolina football games this fall, Carolina Hurricanes, and just so many things that I got the chance to do that I would never have been able to do if I had not worked in this field. I would have never, if you had asked a 10-year-old me, that I would be sitting courtside right at center court for a Carolina Duke basketball game at Cameron Indoor Stadium, I would have said that you were crazy. So just so many great memories, so many great people to thank, but really want to thank the listeners for allowing me to be a part of their daily activities and their daily commutes and just being a part of their sports world.
That is certainly the most important thing, and it'll be great to keep you around and have you around the area, and I know you're turning a new chapter in your life and doing some new things and doing big things, and we all know around here that you will do great things for sure. So we do appreciate you, Graham. I know on behalf of all of us, we wish you well, and we know the door will always be open for you whenever you want to walk back through it, because all we do is open doors. You have to walk through them as well. So Adam Gold, if you got a song to take us out, Graham, you have the choice to be doing so. But again, Adam Gold Show, Paul Ihander filling in for Adam. Appreciate him letting us be part of the program. And for all of you out there, I will leave you with this. We'll say goodbye to our friends, and we'll say welcome to new ones. Enjoy the sports world, everybody. And as always, keep it on the shiny part.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.